classes, 40 invited pullers. Over 150,000 in total horsepower. One unprecedented low price. The Mac Winter Nationals, streaming exclusively on the new Full Pull Live. Full Pull Live, one night only. 4 top classes, 40 invited pullers. Over 150,000 in total horsepower. One unprecedented low price. The Mac Winter Nationals. Full Pull Live, one night only. 4 top classes, 40 invited pullers. Over 150,000 in total horsepower. One unprecedented low price. The Mac Winter Nationals, streaming exclusively on the new Full Pull Live.
Hey, what's going on, truck and tractor pulling fans and Mac trailer enthusiasts? Mike Idle here with Larry Witchfine, Jason Schultz, Matt Hart from Beer Money Pulling Team. This is Let's Grow Pulling. We're going to be talking all things Mac Trailer Winter Nationals tonight. And I've legitimately been looking forward to this all week long, a stacked lineup of guests. Ladies and gentlemen, from the bottom up, Carlton Cope, driver of the Warpath, Massey Ferguson, Spencer Rook, Hillbilly Deluxe. How you doing tonight, Spencer? And a man who needs no introduction, Mr. American Thunder himself, Bill Vories. How we doing tonight, gentlemen?
Awesome.
Good deal. Good deal. Well, Carlton Cope will lead things off with you. I should say 3 gentlemen who need no introduction, you being definitely one of those. Carlton, you're a busy man. Tell us exactly where you are and what you've got going on tonight.
Right now, I'm sitting at the dyno console, waiting to do this and run my engine again here as soon as we hang up. Just ran the engine before we get ready.
So we're getting things completely tucked away and ready to go for this weekend, Saturday evening in Louisville, Kentucky, at the historic Freedom Hall again. I saw in our opening video 150,000 total horsepower. Once yours gets off the dyno, is that number going to have to go up a little bit once we estimate total horsepower for the weekend?
It better go better than it did the last time.
Tell us about the last time. I know you did not pull at the farm show, correct?
That's correct.
So tell us about our most recent memories at Freedom Hall or anything at Mac Trailer Winter Nationals.
I like going to the Winter Nationals just because it's a little different, less pressure than the farm show, and I like the trucks, and usually the weather's nicer, so we can be out in the parking lot, and it's just more enjoyable. You don't stand around all week long waiting for your turn to pull, it seems like sometimes at the farm show.
So, Larry, you spent most of your time at this most recent 2024 farm show in Broadbent. Carlton, do they let you get out of Broadbent a little bit and stretch your legs out there in the parking lot with it being a little bit closer to spring now?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Larry, will you have any role at this pull the way you did at the last one in Louisville?
Nope, I won't be there.
Not so you're not going to be hanging out in smoke-free Broadbent Arena, the smokiest smoke-free building.
I have other duties elsewhere, actually. Yes, I won't be there. So everything should run smooth because I won't be there.
So, guys, this is a really cool event. It's going down in Louisville, Kentucky this Friday, or excuse me, this Saturday. 4 classes, 3 of the 4 being represented here tonight. We've got mini rods, we've got modified tractors, we've got pro stocks, the crowd favorite, and of course, you can't have the Mid-America Truck Show without the trucks. Carlton, I want to go back to something that you said. You said it's a little more. You can kind of stretch your legs, move around a little bit, take a breath. It doesn't have that pressure of the farm show. Does that make it more fun to go out there and put the power to the track? Or is it a little bit more nerve-wracking because you kind of only got one shot when it comes to this show?
It's nerve-wracking. When you go to the farm show, all you want to do is make Saturday night. You go in Wednesday night and you don't make the finals, you just feel like going home because everybody wants to ask what happened, why you didn't make it, or if you did make it, it's great because you're there all week and your tractor sets in Broadbent and everything's wonderful. So I guess with the truck show, if you don't make it, if you're not first, you're last, and nobody remembers the second place guy, just winner.
Nothing gained, nothing earned. Other Jason Schultz was doing his promotional video earlier today, and he was talking about Spencer Rook, and he was like, "Wait a minute, did DeBrew win that? DeBrew won everything." No, we remember who won. Spencer, you walked away with a win on the Saturday last year. Is that correct?
Yep.
So what does it mean?
Hey, Mike.
What's up, Jason?
Before we get rolling with Spencer, Carlton, I want to let Carlton go because he's got a pro stock motor on the dyno. We really want to see Warpath. Carlton, what's his question? How are crab cakes in Maryland? Who's asking you that? Is that an inside joke?
They are delicious.
Okay. Do you want to tell us what that means, or is that like?
It's the aftertake.
Okay. Gotcha.
So you're coming up next on the dyno. Tell everybody, just for any casual fans out there, I know most people who watch this show are really well versed in truck and tractor pulling, and we all know pro stocks. They've got the big turbo, and most of them have a big block John Deere. But for people who are just getting into pulling, or for people who like to know really what they're looking at, just quickly tell the world what makes your tractor so unique. You can recognize it the second you see it. Tell them about what you're running out there and why you prefer to run that engine that you've got under the hood of that Massey Ferguson.
Mostly just because it's different, not the same international. And it's like any sheet metal. If you put a different color on in the class, it's going to get recognition, whether it be in pro stock class like the Fendt tractor. It was popular right away because people like something different. And that's a lot of it, I think.
And you've got 2 more cylinders than pretty much everybody else out there too.
Yep. Never late with a V8, but I'm always late, so I don't know. Bad saying, I guess.
If nothing else, you talk about being recognizable. You don't even have to make the winning run of the night, and everybody goes home talking about the cherry red glow of the exhaust system, seeing that those exhaust headers coming off the side right there. It's an awesome tractor. Were you guys Massey Ferguson fans by trade, or like you said, is this just something different and you like to be unique?
No, I'm about as green-blooded as they come. John Deere's always been my passion, I guess, and I still like them today, and that's predominantly what we repair at the repair shop is John Deere equipment. And I just chose a Massey just because it was something different, and we were talking one day after work, and they mentioned the V8, and it was naturally big cubic inches, and I said that's what we wanted to do. And more than once I wanted to roll it over the hill because it wasn't going to work, but stayed with it long enough, and we got it to work.
You build engines or work on engines for other competitors as well, correct?
Yep, that's correct.
Okay. Any specific competitors that are going to be competing there?
We do Mike Connie's engines for his tractors.
So that's a pretty big name to mention while we're talking about the Mac Winter Nationals.
Yep, that's right.
See, he let you climb up on that and drive it from time to time too.
Yeah. Sometimes we get lucky enough to drive.
Sure. You were mentioning other competitors that maybe you do some work for.
Well, we probably do about 25 engines for other guys and tractor pulling, and it keeps getting more and more all the time. And I try to say no, but it's hard to do. You want to help people and make them succeed, so we keep taking on more work all the time, which is good and bad, I guess.
For sure. So like Jason said, we know you're a busy man. You're telling us about it right now. You do a lot of work for a lot of people. I know you're chomping at the bit. I know you've got a lot of work to do. Closing statements. Tell us about, just how you get ready for an indoor pull of this magnitude and what it's going to look like from the minute you log off of here till about when you're heading out Friday night or Saturday morning.
Well, we get done here, well, hopefully everything will be good and we can put it in the tractor and then make the tractor clean, because it's a show. You want everything to look nice when you get there, and we're excited to get there. I enjoy pulling indoors. Other than it's in the winter, you're always busy. There's other things you should be doing, but we do enjoy going. So I'm ready to go tractor pulling.
We're ready to watch, and we're ready for pulling too. Larry, Jason, Matt, you guys have any questions or sign-offs for Carlton before we let him go see how much horsepower that huge V8 Massey makes on the dyno?
I'm super happy that Carlton came on. The first time I met him was in Henry, Illinois back in 2017, and we stayed up late and we drank together, and that was my favorite Carlton Cope memory. So I enjoyed that. So.
I want to drink beer with Carlton Cope.
Take the phone and put it in the dyno booth and aim it at the screen if you don't mind when you're running it here in a minute. Just saying.
Well, we can do that. Get somebody on the phone, we'll make a dyno run.
Cool.
There you go.
That'd be awesome.
Well, we'll leave you on the show, but we'll mute you, Carlton, until we see some action, okay?
Okay, that'll be fine.
All right, you get back to work. Michael, continue with the interviews. Thanks, Carlton.
Absolutely. So Doug said that in the message. He goes, "Hey, get Carlton to give us a live look in on the dyno," and I didn't have the guts to ask him. I'm glad that Larry said that. So, folks, sit tight while we chit chat with some other rock stars back here. We're going to get a live look in on Warpath on the dyno machine. Larry, go ahead.
Larry never has any qualms about saying pretty much anything. Bill, would you testify to that? Yeah. Yeah, I don't have a problem asking questions or being in the way or making judge. I never judge anybody, but you know what I'm saying. But then you get Matt. Matt, he don't judge anybody either. Matt and I got to work together down there and at the racetrack. We had fun, but yeah, it wouldn't hurt to have somebody hold the phone and look at the screen while he's making that pass to see what it's making.
I think that's the coolest idea ever.
Yeah, that's one of the neater tractors you're going to see out there. Love to see that V8. I saw someone talk about a T-shirt that had the glowing headers on it. I think that's a cool idea too. So now we go to the empty chair. He definitely meant he was getting right back to work on that.
No, he messaged me. He goes, "How long do these things normally take?" And I wanted to be like, well, good news is, I like to talk tractor pulling. Bad news is I'm me. I will talk to you for 2 hours. And I was like, "You got something going on?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm putting it on the dyno like right now." I was like, "All right, dude, give us 15 minutes and we'll get you in and out of here." I completely understand. So let's hop over to it is the Mid-America Truck Show. This kind of is, I've not been to it. I've been to the National Farm Machinery Show a couple of times, no doubt about it. You go to the National Farm Machinery Show, it's an agricultural expo. Pro stocks kind of are kings there. I mean, people want to see big cube tractors. They want to see diesel smoke. That's the crowd at the National Farm Machinery Show. At the Mid-America Truck Show, these are truck drivers. This is the people who move and feed and transport for America. Spencer, you won in front of these hardworking people, these salt of the earth people driving, a semi truck at the Mid-America Truck Show. Walk us through how you did that and what that meant to you last year.
It was a major shock. I mean, it's just luck. I mean, just like pulling anywhere, it's all just luck, but it was fun. It was adrenaline. It was a lot of adrenaline going through you. I never thought that we'd ever be able to win down there, but it was fun, and especially in front of truck drivers like myself and my dad, and in front of a bunch of truck drivers, it's fitting.
Yeah, Spencer, how many times have you competed at the MAC Winter Nationals? Was this a handful of times?
This year will be our third time.
Third time. So you've won one, and how'd you do in the other?
The first year we ended up second place behind Chris Wood.
Real nice. That's pretty darn good average so far.
Yes.
So Jason did bring up an awesome point though last year. Kind of on a short list, a one of one. Ryan DeBrew, who won PPL and NTPA last year, who really got that truck figured out at the Pullers Championship. You're one of the few who can claim, you're like, hey, he won the war, but we won the battle. When you semi truck drivers go out there pulling against each other, you're such a cool crew because it's a class that we don't get to see all over the place. Are you guys all best friends behind the scenes, or is there some, friendly kind of put up the dukes when it comes down to it? And is it pretty enjoyable when you can beat, other awesome competitors like you guys all are amongst yourselves?
Us as a semi class, we're all pretty good friends, and we all like to joke around one another, and so it makes it fun. And
when they announced that they were going to have semi truck pulling at Freedom Hall, I can imagine you would have I had two reactions as a fan. This was 2 years ago when they did the show. First of all, I thought this has got to be just something that fires up every semi truck puller ever, because typically you guys don't get to pull at Freedom Hall. There's certain classes that don't pull there. And, it is kind of the mecca, the epicenter of the pulling world, the Super Bowl, the Daytona 500. So my first thought was, just heck yeah, like good for those guys. They get their day in the sun. My second thought was, how on earth are they going to stop these 20,000-pound monsters on 240 feet? Those were my thoughts. What were your thoughts when they announced semi trucks are coming to Freedom Hall?
Daddy, I thought it was a dream come true. I mean, we wouldn't be able to do it if it wasn't for Mike Connie and Mac Trailer, but I had a lot of faith in Bauer because he's very smart and he does the farm show. And I mean, he can stop us at 150 foot if he wanted to. So the sled, I wasn't really worried about, just the amount of work we'd have to do to get it, to make sure it would be there. And the smoke tube, it's all new to us really. So, we get one shot at it and that's it.
Yeah, they can stop you. There was a lot of rumors or a lot of, chatter amongst the cheap seats there for a while when the mods were really sniffing out that sand pile. And then we saw Saturday night this year, no doubt about it. That big bad red sled gets behind you. And when you're saying go, he can say whoa about any time that he wants to. What's it like to put the helmet on and look through the windshield in Freedom Hall? The tractor pullers, the tractor drivers, they've been doing it for almost 50 years. You guys have been doing it for 3. Is that a pretty chilling moment to be able to sit there? What's it like sitting in the driver's seat at Freedom Hall?
It's like no other, really. I mean, I don't really know of a good way to explain it. It's very thrilling. I mean, it can be overwhelming, but it's not bad. You just think of it as any other tractor pull, but really you got one shot at it and you can't mess up down there. I mean, you just got to go.
I'm going to bounce.
Hey, Mike, let's jump on to full pull odds. Can you see your screen, Mike, or is that too small for you?
If I make it big and if I clean my glasses, there it is. Look at that. So odds in the semi-truck division. This is where we're at right now.
Larry, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, it looks like it turned into a commercial for Full Pull Bets, but I wasn't going to criticize it. But we're all along the edge of the screen in little bitty pictures, and all of a sudden the screen's full of Full Bets.
I am a paid social media influencer for Full Pull Live and FullPull.us. So deal with it, Larry Richwine. So deal.
Works pretty good.
You can be bought.
You have influence. You have a lot of influence, Jason. I can assure you on that.
Well, I've seen the internet today. There's a lot of lovers of me today. A lot, quite a few. I've seen some good text messages. So
the best way to describe it, Jason, is you're very popular.
Something happened today? I didn't know. I was outside gardening all day today. Did something happen? I'm not aware.
No, it's all good. We're not getting into any of that. Just if you want to watch the live stream this Saturday, fullpull.live, $9.99. Spencer, you're 6-1 basically right now.
Wow.
DeBrew's 3-1, and the rest of you guys are all pretty tight. Have you gandered with fullpull.us yet and made your picks? Take your $1,000 play money, Spencer?
I've gandered at it, but I have not made my picks quite yet.
Okay, that sounds good. So, all right, we have Bill Vories on. I mean, I love you, Spencer, and I want you to stay on. But Mike, we got to get Matt and Larry. We got American Thunder on.
I was asking. I was going to go straight from Spencer. Spencer, what's it like to pull at Freedom Hall? And then I was going to jump right down to Bill. Bill, you take a hiatus from tractor pulling. And for the record, I have to say this. I know all I do is talk, but I have to say this. I asked Larry a question when I very first started getting into this podcast. And one of the questions I asked Larry, this was several months ago, I said, and it was in the Full Pull Bets too, so that's perfect. I said, Larry, if you could take your play money and you could bet on any one modified driver ever, you've got the Anglers, you've got the Banners, you've got yourself, and you could bet all of your, and I didn't even finish asking the question, and he looks square in my eyes and he goes, Bill Vories. He goes, no question about it. Best mod driver of all time, Bill Vories. So Bill, your reputation precedes you. You take a hiatus from pulling, you come back, and you don't kind of ease your way into it like your local brush pull or anything. You come back at the National Farm Machinery Show at Freedom Hall. How are the emotions when you got in the driver's seat that night on Wednesday night and you came back to the world of pulling in the biggest stage possible?
Well, first off, I love Louisville. It's the world's greatest indoor pull ever. I wasn't really nervous or anything. I just didn't want to finish last since it was first time in a long time. But, once you get the helmet on and when the engines fire, you forget about everything else. Except I drove like I was on vacation because I was expecting the tractor to go back left and it went right. And I'm like, oh, maybe I ought to get on the brake. But so I wasn't, you could tell I hadn't been there for 12 or 13 years, but it was great. I love Louisville. Louisville's been very good to me and they treat you like $1 million. And so I'm kind of excited about the pull here Saturday. The motors weren't even close to where they ought to be and everything. So I'm hoping I've got things tuned up a little better and mainly me tuned up better so I do a better job.
Bill, here's a question somebody asked me the other day. How many wins and how many divisions do you have at Louisville on your resume?
I think it's 13 and I think it's 9 mods and 4 pro stock or 5 pro stock and 8 mods. Like I said, it's been good to me. I've had a lot of good luck down there.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of it is it's a shorter track than most of them are ready for. If they go down there, the sled's set up a little bit different. It's got to hit you quicker. And I'm not stroking you or anything, but I do believe that you anticipate that and read the sled a lot better than most of the guys do when they go from outdoor pulling to indoor pulling. I mean, you've got the Bill Ashners and Wayne Sullivans of the world that are right there in the same category as far as being good at setting up their tractor. But like you say, now that you got the motors tuned up again, but I don't know. I can't even tell. How many years were you actually retired? I mean, you retired for how many years before you came back?
The last time I was at Louisville was 2010.
Okay.
I think. and I was lucky enough to win that year. And then actually, yeah, 2010. And then I took 4 years off till 2014 and put the other mod together, but I never got into Louisville because it had 1471s on it, and then I retired in 16, and then I just, a lot of my friends my age are dying and stuff, and I miss pulling so much. I said, you know what? If I like it, I'm gonna do it. So I guess I'll probably do this till I fall over. So.
Well, tractor pulling's like I compare it to cancer. I mean, you can get it in remission, but you never get it totally out of your system. I mean, if a guy retires or whatever, like Bill did, I know that I can't go and watch in the bleachers at all. And if you do, everybody say, "Oh, come on, we're going to go. Let's go with us." And then you sit there and you think, "Dang, the stuff I used to run could kick those guys' butts." I mean, and you start again. I mean, that's just is that true, Bill?
Well, we're all world beaters when we're sitting in the stands. Hell, I can beat all them guys, but it's a lot different when you get out there. But yeah, it's in your blood.
Yeah,
as you know, Larry, I went through a lot of stuff in 2020.
I know you did. I know you did.
And I decided if I ever get my health back, I'm going to pull again. And I'm excited about it. I wish I was younger where I could run the unlimited, but 3 or 4 of these motors will keep me busy.
Yeah. So. Well, I know there for, like you say, quite a while you had some health issues, and a couple of times I had on Facebook, prayers for one of our pullers, and I never said who it was, but it was Bill, and he survived a lot, gone through a lot, and I'm glad to see him back on the track myself.
Dean Hollicky says the best was when Bill and Wayne Persher were in a pull-off. That would have been unlimited, right, Bill?
No, that was mods at Louisville. Okay. Actually, we pulled it off 3 times. Oh, wow. I was ready to go. We pulled it off. We had a pull off in the regular pull, and he and I pulled it out again, and running them old dump truck motors. I wanted to run again right away, and Wayne wanted to work on his, so he went back to the pits and everything, and he beat me in the pull off. But then I came back and beat him the next year. So,
but you made him work for it.
Oh yeah, we made him work for it.
Yeah.
So, Bill, I want to talk to you about pull-offs. I posted up, or one of our team members posted up something on our Beer Money Facebook page the other day, and essentially the question boiled down to, pull-offs, thumbs up or thumbs down, or if you could bring back something, what would you bring back? And the comments just left and right were, no pull-offs, don't care for pull-offs. These are most drivers. Fans still want it. Most drivers are like, no pull-offs. And then you hopped on there and you were, no, I want the pull-offs. Yep. You've always kind of been known as the guy. I mean, you have been an adamant believer, even in a world where, motors are hot and we can't bring stuff back. You're a big believer in the pull-off. Are you still feeling that way?
In a perfect world, every track would be 350 to 380 feet long, and we'd have at least one pull-off in every class. But you got to remember who pays the bills. The fans pay the bills, and sometimes pullers, they worry about their own thing too much, but hell, everything's billet down. You can beat on them things pretty hard, and if you tune them up right, they'll run 2-3 times.
Your comment said something along, because I messaged you back and I said, that's a great comment, and you said, well, I always felt like I had to build it good enough. If I was going to win once, I was going to have to win twice, or if I was going to win the whole thing, I was going to have to make 2 passes at it. So I just thought that was an inspiring way to put it. Hey, if you're going to build it to win twice. So that's
when I was running the unlimited, as Larry remembers, you never got by pulling once. There was always a pull off, especially in the unlimited, because you're weighing 8,000 pounds. You got a busload of horsepower. It's hard to stop them.
Bill told me one time at Chapel Hill, he told me, he says, well, I'll just squeak it into the pull off the first round, but the second round, I'll make a few changes and I'll come back and kick their ass. And by God, he did most of the time. And not only would his motors survive a second pass well, but the fact of the matter was he built them that way, and he anticipated making 2 passes. It was a lot different. And I have to admit, back when I was running, I only wanted to make 1 pass. I didn't want to it doesn't pay any extra purse money, but like Bill said, the fans are paying for the ticket, and they're going to watch us pull, and they need a show. So I understand that. But no, today's world, you don't see pull-offs very often at all.
If you're only going to be on there 10 seconds, let's do it a couple times anyway.
That can be said for a lot of things.
Yeah.
So somebody asked Bill, what's your favorite track and year or moment at the track? Can you think of one that stands out?
Well, of course, Bowling Green has a great track, but one thing about Toma, that track holds up for the whole class. You can, if you pull first to make the pull off, or if you pull last, and you've got as good a chance as anybody. And to look at that track, it doesn't look like much, but it hooks good. It comes back together good, and just never seems to dry out that I can ever remember.
No.
Of course, Bowling Green, winning on Bowling Green on a Saturday night in the unlimited classes, there's nothing to match it. I mean, you've got 5 blown motors up there that are trying to break your eardrums, and when you go past 320, you can hear the crowd through the helmet. You don't hear the motors anymore. You hear the crowd, and it's pretty fun.
Yeah. My most memorable moment with Bill Vories was at Toma, and coming back in the pull-off, and he's trying to start the last 2 out of 5, and it wanted to move. The clutches were hot. And he said, Larry, do I have to start them all here? Can I start them up on the track? And I said, sure. I said, I don't care when you start them, Bill. And he actually had a clutch pedal on those last 2. So he come out to the track with 3 of them running, backed up, hooked up, and got started with 3. At about 25 foot, he took his left foot. I don't know how the hell he had the wherewithal to think of it. I couldn't have done it. I'd have been going, oh, God, do I have oil pressure? But he reached up with his left foot, engaged the clutch on the other 2 motors, and when they fired, all 5 of them went right out the gate, and it was awesome. And
wow.
That's one of my best Bill Vories stories. When he lit those last 2 motors, actually about 25 feet, while the other ones are up to speed, it was awesome pass. You remember that, Bill?
Oh yeah, that's one of my favorite.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah. So.
Hey, let's get Spencer. Spencer, will you answer that question? Do you have any favorite tracks or favorite memories? I know you're not as veteranry as Bill Voris, but Bill Vories, we still got to get you on here, Spencer. What do you got?
Veteran.
Well, what's mature? Mature? I didn't want to say
seasoned,
because Larry
he's not old.
What, so. Wait a minute. What'd you call Larry? What?
Veteranry.
He called you a veterinarian.
He called me an old bastard. What he called me. I know what he called me. But I'm drinking this Gold Train energy drink, so I'm going to be young in a minute.
Right. Yeah. Bill's on tonight, so I was trying to behave. Larry, I'd say whatever I want to you, but I was trying to be nice to Mr. Bill Vories, so sorry.
Spencer, biggest win or favorite track, bud?
Louisville, the biggest win. I liked Louisville track. I mean, it worked well. Everything worked well for us. Bowling Green, Goshen, them are the 3 big ones that I really liked. A lot of people don't like Goshen, but it works for us. So
Goshen's a cool pull. I got to go to Goshen. Do you guys realize? So I'm going to speak to my super fans out there. The people that's how I got started. I'm not a driver. I'm a keyboard puller. I don't, I couldn't do any of this stuff. But if you're a super fan, do you guys realize that you can do Goshen, Fort Recovery, and Brandenburg, Kentucky, 3 pulls in 3 days, back to back to back, and just make a heck of a road trip out of it? That is a fun way to do polling. Goshen's a neat pull. Tell us about why that one kind of stands out to you.
Well, we won there this year, but everybody worries about how Goshen's a sandy track, and it's just a different track that everybody really worries about, or some people worry about, but it tends to work well for a lot of people, and I think a lot of people overthink it.
In the big rig division, a class that, especially those of us west of the Mississippi River, don't see a ton. It seems like you guys tend to hang out in the greater Michigan or kind of south of Michigan area and all hang out around in there. talk to us about how driving comes into that. We see modified four-wheel drive trucks over here. We see pro stocks. We see your typical day in, day out pullers. So we kind of know what some of the driving classes are, what some of the horsepower classes are. How much of yours is raw power and weight, and how much of yours is managing clutch and watching boost and driving by the seat of your pants and being a driver's class?
I mean, the semis are so heavy, you still got to you still got to hook them up there, but they're probably a lot easier than a lot of the other classes. But I mean, the semis, I really think it's a lot in how you set them up.
How will you change your setup to be ready to go this Saturday night compared to what you typically run on an outdoor track in the middle of summer?
We're just gonna probably do what we did last year and hope for the best and hope everything comes off the track in one piece and do our best. And we're not going to change very much besides the smoke tube. I mean, that's the biggest change, really.
One thing I found terribly interesting about semis, I learned watching Hutchinson, Minnesota this year, and it's something you just take for granted in pulling. You guys can get the front wheels off the ground. You're not going to sky them like light super stocks, but you can get both of them in the air. You guys don't have independent brakes on the backside. So once you're in the air, you're kind of just praying that it stays between the chalk, aren't you?
Well, yes and no. I mean, if you have everything set up right, you really need one tire touching the ground. So if your setup's right, but every track's different. The softer tracks, there's harder tracks, and your setup's just got to be right.
Sure. Larry, this is a silly question, but it's one I know you'll know the answer to. Sometimes I have goofy questions. If it's silly, sit there and say, well, Mike, you ought to know the answer to that. I've always wondered this. Unlimited, we got Bill on here. We got Spencer on here. We can run 5 1471 blown motors, or we can go down the track with 20,000 pounds. Which one of those classes is Bauer going to stack more weight in the wagon to stop them? Which of those two classes is harder to stop?
Actually, the actual amount of weight in the sled or on the sled is pretty comparable between a 20,000 pound semi and a 8,000 pound unlimited. It's a full load. It'll be 13 to 14 weights. And usually it's third gear, or in some tracks, even fourth gear on the sled. But it's they may move the trip. The pan actually hits them a little quicker. But no, it's comparable. It's right in the same ballpark. I mean, it's amazing to say an 8,000 pound tractor can pull as much as a 20,000 pound vehicle, but you got to consider tire speed, the amount of rubber on the ground for the tire for the 30.5, and a lot of variables there. I mean, it's actually, even though the bars are only a quarter inch tall, the chevrons on those tires clean out a lot different than the semi tires do. But it's pretty close. A rookie sled operator, if you put one in there after they got it weighted down, it's just a matter of where they put the trip and how quick they want to stop them. But as far as actual, if you're set to the top of the bleachers counting weights, you'll find it's almost always the same load between those two classes.
I have always wondered that, and this felt like the perfect time to ask with, these big mod and unlimited drivers and a semi truck driver on here.
Yeah, it's a very comparable load.
Hey, Bill, we got a question from Doug. He actually asked a good one. It is, did you do the stadium pulling back in the day? What did that entail, and what can you tell us about that?
Well, yes, I did. Back in 99, pulled in the Superdome in New Orleans, Astrodome in Texas, pulled in the Atlanta Dome, the old Atlanta Dome, and we pulled in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and their old football stadium. But of all it, and I'm missing one or two, but the only ones still remaining that are used today are the Superdome. I think it's just the Superdome. I think all the rest of them are gone.
Right. Did you pull at the Silverdome in Pontiac, Bill?
I never got to do that.
Okay. I couldn't remember if you did or not.
I know Dave Banner used to tell me about it, Dave and Ralph.
Yeah, I went up there once for Dean Isley and raced right to the bank and cashed my check as soon as I done.
We've had a few of them over the years, Larry.
I know, but everybody says, "Oh, you better hurry." And I think the 2 Rodaks were probably still warm when I went to the bank. Yeah, yeah.
You mentioned banners and you mentioned anglers. I had this one in the back of my mind, and Spencer, I want you to answer this too, even though you're not as veteran-y, but it doesn't mean that you don't have the same kind of memories out there. Bill, in all your years of pulling, be it, the glory days from the 80s, 90s, or, 5 years ago, whatever, who are some of the hardest competitors to beat day in, day out at any given moment? Who have been some of the mod drivers or pro stock drivers that, that guy, he's a tough one to beat regularly?
Well, let's start with pro stock. The internationals were pretty tough for a couple years in the early 80s. And then Lenders took over, and none of us thought we'd ever get around Lenders. I mean, they were on top for 3 or 4 years. And then it was Lorenz and Wilkins and I were pretty hot. And then Don Masterson came on pretty strong. And Don was strong in the beginning too. But I mean, Masterson's now are unbelievably tough. That pro stock class, I just get amazed every time I watch it. And Carlton on here, I need to talk. I've never got to talk to Carlton, but I just like to look under the head of that V8 sometimes.
Yeah,
pretty amazing what they do. But we had a lot of good pro stock competitors. Speaking of Massey's, Raudebusch, on his. I could never beat him in the 10, and he could never beat me in the 12. But man, he was tough. He had the right gear and everything, and it sounded sweet. And but when I started in the mod, I tell you, the guy that just never screwed up was Doug Downs. I mean, he was tough.
That's a good name. Yeah, and
smooth. Hell, he'd still be moving that throttle at 100 feet, and he was hell of a competitor. And then, man, there are just a lot of good ones in the mod. Speaking of banners, Ralph traveled with me for 3 years. And if it hadn't been, of course, Ralph chewed my butt constantly. And Larry can tell you, Ralph never mixed any words. If he thought you were screwed up, he told you 3 times you were screwed up. But he's the guy that told me to quit worrying about horsepower and get the engines to match your gear. And when I finally learned that after 2 years with him, we started doing a lot better. And I didn't ever get to pull against Dave Banner, but he was an amazing driver. And Tim Engler, speaking of banners and Engler, there's no better people than Tim Engler. And of course, Ralph's gone, and Ralph and Tim thought the world of each other. I mean, they were hard competitors, but they respected each other because they didn't copy each other. Ralph did his thing on gearboxes and stuff and how the engines went, and Tim did his thing on how the engine and stuff with. But Ralph said many times, the one thing about Tim's stuff, you don't have to worry about it hurting you if you're standing next to it. And Ralph's stuff was the same way. But a lot of good mod pullers. But I just remember Doug Downs we're in the very first year I ran full season in the mods. I came up second to Gardner Stone in the Unlimited, and I came up. I was 1 point behind. I think 1 point behind Doug Downs in the mod, and I spun the tire and rim with Gardner. So he, other than that, but a lot of fun. We all hate to lose, but never. Gardner Stone was awesome guy when you got him off the track and wasn't all about winning. But we all wanted to beat each other. But Gardner was tough for a long time.
True.
If you start at about 1985 and you go to about 2005 and you just start reading down the list of the who's who of mod competitors, it's your first ballot Hall of Fame type pulling competitors. I mean, there's 10 or 15 of those guys that class and that division was just so loaded with legends for about 20 years right there that, you can almost not even get through one of these shows without alluding to Gardner Stone or Tim Engler at any point. Spencer, who's the toughest guy to beat on any given night in that big, bad, heavy 20,000-pound semi division?
Probably all of them. I mean, Ryan's tough.
Yeah.
Chris Wood's tough. Everybody at Matt's going to Matt's, they're all tough. I mean, to get in there, there's tough. I mean, even guys that aren't going, Nikki's Nightmare playing with fire, Lonnie Saylor. I mean, Gene Dunn at Ohio State. They're all tough. I mean, you mess up, they're gonna get you. And you don't even have to mess up and they'll get you. So it just whoever's got all their ducks in a row the most.
Who would you consider to be some absolute legends? And I'm sure there's one name that's on all of our brains once I ask this question. Who would you consider to be some legends in your class or people that you really looked up to when you were coming into the pulling world?
Really, my dad. I mean, he started everything, and it's his truck. I mean, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be able to be doing it. But, I mean, like Mike Larrabee, I mean, we grew up running with Larrabee, and with him beating you night after night after night, I mean, he'll make anybody a better puller. And,
sure,
it's tough getting smacked around by him for years. And, I mean, Larrabee was very tough. And Chris Woods is tough, too. I mean, they're both really tough. I mean, Larrabee he did a lot of passes. I mean, he did a lot of things.
That's awesome. Matt, if you and I ever stopped being keyboard pullers and started being like actual, if we were men like the rest of everyone else on this show, would you drive a semi or would you drive an unlimited?
Oh man. That's a great question. It's probably a better idea that I just stay in the sound booth. A little bit of driving I've done. It would probably be a safety concern for everybody in the stands because I'd be so worked up. They stuck me on a tractor a couple times just so I knew what it was like. And they said they were going to stick a microphone in the helmet and it was no longer going to be a family show. There's an excitement there for all of them. Now I've driven a semi up and down the road, but I know, and Spencer can vouch for this, it's quite a bit different, especially if you're inside Mac there. Spencer, someone's asking us here. It's David's asking, are you coming to Michigan or Shipshewana this year? Are they on the list for making the rounds this year?
I think Shipshewana is on the list for PPL. I'm not too sure about. We follow PPL and OSTPA the most. So if PPL's got Michigan, we'll probably be there as long as it's not tore up in the meantime. But we'll be there at Shipshewana.
Hey Spencer,
Sure.
Who do we got there, left or right?
Left would be my dad. Next to him is Jason Enderly. He helps us a bunch in the summertime and even in the wintertime. I'm there in the middle. My girlfriend, Dina. And then my mom is to the right, Leslie. And then it'd be Jason's girlfriend is on the right, as far right.
His last name's Enderly? Like Enderly Pull-Off Enderly?
It'd be spelled the same. I think it's spelled the same, but not the same Enderly.
Gotcha.
Enderly Injection. Not quite the same family, though.
Nope. I don't. Not that I'm aware, anyway.
Speaking of Enderly and injection and superchargers and turbochargers, what kind of a turbocharger you have on there? I don't honestly know this. Are you guys like the Pro Stocks? Is there a size limit on the turbos that you guys can run?
Nope. There's no size limit, and we run all Weimer fuel and air. So our fuel and air comes from Weimer. We get a lot of parts from Jim Fink at Cyclone Performance and in Kent Payne, the Super Rooster Motorsports.
And are you multi-stage turbos or just one great big blower on there?
Just one great big blower. We tear up enough stuff with one.
But you can you run a 2-stage or a 3-stage even? Can you run multiple chargers on your guys's?
Yeah, I mean, there's guys out there. Lou Shanklin used to have 3, which Lee has the truck now, but he's got 3. Ryan Elthorpe, I know, has got 3. So there's still guys out there, and they're tough. I mean, Brian got the ring this year at BG. I mean, we got 2 seconds, and Brian's got the ring. So, I mean, the big ones can still run to the multis and vice versa.
Yeah. So speaking numbers, Bill, you went from superchargers and 1471s and everything. You've had pretty much always had the 5-engine setup on both your red and your black tractors that were set up. The trend right now is to have the 3. The 3 really seems to be the in vogue setup. What made you go with a 3-engine setup instead of your typical 5 or maybe even 4 with 871s? Tell us about how that's been going so far.
Well, the reason I did 3 on this one is because I wanted to run that light mod class.
Okay.
So I can go from it to the mod class pretty easy. If I was going to build a tractor just for the mod class, it'd have 4 engines on it. I just get it as light as I can so you can get some weight on the front. But that doesn't mean I'm giving up on 3. You know, I'm going to bust my ass to try to be at the front, you know, or close to it. But, you know, Simon's 4 is tough. You know, Leishner's is tough. Thorn that Owens have, you know. Well, both their tractors run really well. So, but
and Michael, I don't know if you understand, Mike, but the 5-motor setup's only for the unlimited class.
Right.
Class.
Yep. That I knew. That I knew on that.
Bill's going to take the 3rd one off and run the light mod as well, right, Bill?
You can run in the mods. You can run 3 1471s or 4 871s. But once you hit the 5 of any whatever, you're stuck guaranteed unlimited. So are you running there? You got 1471s, but by taking one off, you can go down to the light modified.
Right. And with the Midas tires now, and I love the wedge frame. I don't run a tube frame because I hate seeing all them kids cry because you tore up their swing sets. So I run a wedge frame. But to run 5 in the unlimited, it's tough to it's tough to do with a wedge frame. But I tell you what, Pursers and Adam Bauer, the 5, the way they got that motor out front, the unlimited, pretty tough.
Yeah.
You know? So they're all
Adam has moved that 5th motor. That thing has gone in every possible configuration. When it first came out, he had 2 on the back, 2 in the middle, 1 out front. Then, of course, we want all the weight to the front, so he moves 2 to the front, 2 to the middle, 1 in the back. And then I think his thought process was we want even more weight up there. So then he planted it right down in the middle like a blooming onion or something like that. And how he got that to work is beyond me. And then it was like 1 week later, we saw Wayne Purser do the exact same thing. So those 5-engine guys have really bounced around where they want to put that 5th one. And I don't know, Adam might have even flipped the direction of that 5th one a couple of times. Whatever he's doing, it's working.
I think Larry, you would know, isn't Wayne's box clear up by the fuel tank and his motor fits in the other one?
Yes, it is.
But and Adams was the other way around, but I think he switched it. But I'm not so sure that Wayne might have been first, but I don't know. They both did it about the same time.
Well, I'll put it okay. Yeah, I saw that Adam Bauer. I went to Fort Recovery in 2022. I saw that Adam Bauer had that set up, and then I saw a picture on Facebook the following week of Wayne's tractor. That was the first time I'd seen Wayne's. I hadn't seen his live. That was the order of events that I saw them happen. So I don't know who did what or what the patterns were. It makes for a wild looking setup. Like, it's really interesting looking at 5 of them just smushed way out on the front out there.
And they work really good. And and it's not like one saw the other one. As you guys know, anything in pulling, if you want to have build motors, you better start 3 years ahead of time. Cranks take forever. Everything takes forever. So it's not like Purser or Bauer look, oh shit, I'm going to do that, and I'll go to the corner drugstore and get me a gearbox.
Run down to CVS really quick.
Yeah, they had that in the plan for quite a while. So it's just with everything being built, it just takes a while.
Will you ever flirt with the idea of taking the 14s off and putting the screw chargers on and hooking unlimited a time or two?
Well, it'd take me 3 years to figure out how to get that combination to work, and then we'd be probably attending my funeral. So probably not.
Oh, man.
I hope that's not the case. Had someone, Dean was talking about the turbo size on that semi behind Spencer. He's got a great backdrop because he popped the hood on it. Was going to show that thing off a little. It looks like I'd probably put a whole dinner plate and then a pizza on there too, huh, Spencer?
Hey, Matt, be careful. Dean is one of Spencer's competitors.
Yeah.
I almost did. I was like, "Hey, Matt, turn the camera," but now, nope, turn it the other way, Matt.
Yep.
You're turn it the other way, Spencer. Where you're flirting with giving away secrets here.
Yeah, he's going to show it off just to see him
anymore.
catch him, right?
He doesn't have a semi anymore, though, guys.
He's driving Simons, isn't he?
Yes.
Well, he might be driving it, but mate. Okay.
Well, I mean, he's still. I mean, you're still a puller. I'm just saying, Larry. So,
Spencer, that turbo looks big enough. You ought to have a sidecar for it.
You almost need one. It takes almost a crane to put it on. They're big, but it's big enough.
6.5.
I don't know what it is.
Don't answer. Don't answer. That thing blows more air than these two announcers can. That's all he can say.
It's the big Weimer, I'm sure, and that's the one that's 6.5. Yeah.
Sure.
It could even be a 7-inch. I mean, I don't know.
That's right.
He went to Lowe's and got the biggest post hole digger they had and made that a compressor wheel.
There you go.
Put some good blades. We were just talking about CVS. It's all about Lowe's getting that 5% back. So Spencer's got some time.
And what's the part number at Napa for those extra gearboxes?
I want to know, how much power do you have to have? I mean, to think about just to spin something that size. I mean, you've got to have a lot just to get that turbo moving. When you're dealing with something that big, you're talking ponies right there. And that almost, people are like, "Oh, the turbo's so huge. I can't believe that. That's so neat to look at." But think about what it takes to get that doing the job that it needs to do. That's going to start putting in perspective the amount of horsepower that we're looking at in the world of truck and tractor pulling. So that's, what was it they said on some of the screw chargers? Screw chargers take like hundreds of horsepower just to turn the charger before then they even kind of return that amount back to them. So I'm sure
it's the other way around. What makes the screw chargers don't make any more air than a 1471, but they take a whole lot less horsepower to run. They turn.
Okay.
No, you are back.
Am I right there, Larry?
You are correct. Yes, less horsepower turns a screw charger. It like you say, it's the same amount of boost, but it takes less actual crankshaft horsepower to turn them.
You have 400 or 500 horse that goes to the track instead of turning the blower.
Yep, that's the way it is. Yeah.
Short fighties got it fast. They won't spin until you shoot the turbo cocaine to them. So that's a great way to put it. Little ether bunny action around Easter time is always kind of nice. So
Mike Tyson's making a comeback to the ether bunny for sure.
Ether bunny, that's Jake Paul. That's right. Jake Paul's going to get some ether bunny trouble.
Well, Jake Paul. He's a social media fighter. So you're talking about you boys being keyboard pullers. Well, it'd be like you hooking up against Spencer or Bill. You'd learn real quick, just like he will learn when he fights Mike Tyson.
He's going to whoop his ass.
It'll be entertaining. We'll say that, right? Yeah. Just let Bill go right past me.
Mike was a resident of Hendricks County, where I live. About 20 miles south of here for several years after that little incident he had. Anyway, but yeah,
Larry, you live by a jail or a prison?
No, 20 miles away.
20 miles away. Hey, Spencer.
And I never visited Tyson at all because I was afraid he'd bite my ear.
You do have nice ears, Larry. Hey, Spencer.
You know what?
He's got them covered up. See, so there you go.
It worries me that Jason noticed my ears.
That's why you cover them. That's why you keep them covered. Jason looks at stuff like that.
Oh, come on.
Jason has some strange fetishes. Is all I got to say.
We're not going to get into that part of the show tonight.
Spencer, first pulling memory. How old are you, by the way, Spencer?
I'm 25.
You had to think about it, guys. He's getting old. Larry, how old are you?
I've got socks that old.
I do have socks that old.
I can vouch for that.
I'm only 67, but now the oldest one on this screen is in the top right-hand corner, and I'm not going to ask him, but I do happen to know. Yeah. Bill and I have been friends for probably 40 years, and now that you put me in the top right, that's not the oldest guy on the screen.
Oh, well played. Well played.
Yeah.
Okay, Spencer, before we ask your question, somebody keeps asking about Billy Bass behind Bill, hold on, Bill. What? That's not a Billy the Bass. That's a Northern, isn't it, or a Muskie? What do you got?
That's a Northern pike.
Okay, where'd you get that at?
Oh shoot, 1990. I flew to Ely, Minnesota on a fishing trip, and we were catching lake perch like crazy. I won't take long with this. Anyway, I got tired of catching lake perch, and I'm no fisherman. I suck at fishing.
It looks like it. Yeah.
I had my dad's old fishing box, and I pulled out this big long wooden whatever the hell it was and put it on my 6-pound line and threw it out there. We're in a canoe because you couldn't use a boat, couldn't have anything with a motor. And I hooked that freaking pike, and about 2 hours later, we finally got him in the boat. So
I say that was your new trolling motor, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's a set of oars.
Yeah.
So.
All right, Spencer. First pull in memory. Who do you keep whispering off to the side of the screen over there? Do you got your wife over there, or your girlfriend, or what do you got going on? Your dad?
It'd actually be my dad.
Hey, Dad.
Dad, what's going on?
He can be on the show, Spencer. Your dad's kind of a big deal.
Pull him up a stool and get him something cold to drink.
My first pulling memory would probably be, I started out in garden tractors, and probably I think in the early 2000s.
What'd you have?
Started with an old Sears my dad bought in high school. Him and Tony Hefner worked on it. I don't know. I mean, that motor, I think, always just ran good. And then him and Tony Hefner worked on 14-horse Kohlers for a long time. And we ran them until I was old enough to get in the seat of the semi. And then when I first started the semi, I drove for OSTPA, and he ran PPL. And then eventually I just ended up running it. And I keep trying to get him in the seat, but he don't want to be in the seat yet.
You went from garden tractors to semis?
Correct.
That we go. I mean, yeah. Leave this guy at the front of the screen for a little bit. That is one of the most badass things I've heard on Let's Grow Pulling. We go from a 14 horsepower Kohler to no, I'm ready for the 7-inch turbo on the semi truck back there. Let's go with that. That's awesome, dude.
You learn a lot about reading a track and dirt and pulling, even in general, pulling against garden tractor pullers. I mean, there's a lot to learn there, really.
Yeah, you want to talk about a driver's class. That's a driver's class.
Yeah.
I've watched one person go out of bounds on a garden tractor.
It was early in the morning.
It's because it was green, right? It was the green fire suit that did it.
Yeah, absolutely. Mark, give us a good Spencer story.
Oh, probably shocked him. He thought he had it won, and it took off one direction, and he tried to correct it, and they pulled the kill on it, and he was all mad because they stopped him, and it was done anyhow. It was too crossed up in the track.
Oh, shoot. That stinks. Bill, all right, we're going to go from the youngest guy on the show to allegedly the oldest guy. I still think you look better than Richwine does, though.
So then Larry's in rough shape.
What's your first pull in memory? And kind of give us, if you don't mind, just kind of the timeline, how it started and how we got to where we are today. I mean, we've caught up with the last 10 years or so, but how did it all start for you, Bill?
I had never been to a tractor pull in my life, and I worked at the Gleaner dealer in the wintertime back when I didn't farm much, 73 or 4. And we went to Louisville, and I saw the super stocks run, and I thought, well, shit, I can do that, you know.
That's awesome.
So then we go back home. Well, we had to build a sled. So before we could even have a tractor pull, we had to build a sled. And we built a sled, and then I pulled a 70-50 Alice in 74 and 5, and then I bought a John Deere 4430 and turned it all up and run it one summer, and it still had plastic on the seats and everything. I didn't hardly put any hours on it. And then I bought it the 966 in 78, and that's when I had a full-time pulling tractor. So, but I'd never seen a tractor pull growing up or anything until I went to Louisville. So
you can blame
I love the way you just look at that. Matt, have you ever thought to yourself, because we'll just, we've never driven a tractor. Have you ever sat up in the stands or been announcing and thought, well, shit, I can do that. Has that thought ever even crossed your mind?
There was a time, and then, like I said, I have some friends that were really friendly after a couple adult beverages, persuading them that, well, if you think it's so easy, here's the key, and jumped in the seat of one, and I realized very quickly I'm a much better talker. So it's good for Bill, though. The world's better for it that he decided to do that on a whim, right? And here we are, go to one show, and how many years later? That's crazy. That's crazy.
I want to hear about building the sled. You built your own sled. You're like, well, if we're going to do it, we better hook it a couple times and get the feel for it. How does one go about building their own sled?
Well, there's several of us that wanted to have a tractor pull, and we had to have a sled. So we just took a winter and built one. Went to the truck junkyard and got a couple truck rear ends and got some weights and stuff. And then we ran that, Larry probably remembers, we ran that thing up in Michigan and everything, rented it out.
Yeah, Marshall County bunch, yeah.
Yeah, and then Breedings bought it.
Right.
And that was a newer model sled, but
right.
Yeah, I wanted to pull pretty bad to do that. And when on the way home from Louisville, when I told all them guys, I think I could do that, they just laughed their ass off at me. So,
but that makes me think of when Adam Bauer got on the No Practice podcast, and he gave him a hard time. He goes, I don't know why you guys call this a no practice sport. He goes, I can go out there and practice anytime I want to.
He never does.
He was making a joke, but
Matt, ask Bill this question. This could be interesting.
Yep. Yeah, so I'm gonna flavor this one up a little bit. It says, does Bill have any funny stories about hanging with Larry? And we're gonna go back to, do you remember Larry with red hair?
I don't remember Larry with red hair, but we were both on the board, and we used to use my plane to fly to different meetings and stayed in the hotel room together. But some of those stories I don't even think are safe for the internet.
So. No, they're not. They're not.
Not even on this show.
That's interesting. Had a lot of fun, though. We had a lot of fun.
What I love about Larry, him and I been great friends forever, and we've disagreed on some things, but we've never, Larry especially, has never let it change, darken the way he feels about you or anything. And that's what I loved about him as a tech director. He got his point across, but he wasn't an asshole about it. So,
Larry, that's the first person not. I want to write this down. The first person that doesn't.
Right off the presses, Larry Richwine is not
an asshole. Yeah. Well, you know what? I'm overqualified to be an asshole, and and both the job I used to have and then my new logo, I'm technically paid to be an asshole. But no, Bill was always one of those competitors, and still is, that even if something was wrong or whatever, he'd work with you. He wasn't one to instantly say, well, screw you, I don't care, this is how I'm going to do it. But I mean, no, I truly try to lead my life, and even Jason would have to admit, well, what goes around comes around, and I actually try to treat people like I would hope they would treat me back. And like Bill said, we may have disagreed on something, but never really gotten an argument or anything else, because life's too short, guys. I mean, This is a fun sport. We're entertainers, whether we like it or not. Yeah, it's fun to be competitive and everything, but we're putting on a show, and the people, like Bill said, want to see the pull off or paid the ticket to see something. Bill was one of those guys that would work with you if you had weather conditions coming in or track conditions were changing, and I never had to worry what Bill was going to call me. Some of the other competitors, it didn't bother me what they called me, but I got called several names. But no, Bill and I, like I said, we've been friends 40 years. We've participated in a couple little groups that promoted a couple little events, and it's been a good run. And that's why when he retired, I thought, oh God. And then he said he's going to come back and play. I went, yay. So anyway, but
love it.
Well, it all kind of comes full circle to what Bill said, that, why he got back into it. He said, this is something I want to be doing. If there's something I miss doing, don't ever take for granted that, ever take for granted that you can't be there. Don't ever take for granted that you're always going to have another shot to be there. So, always be there when you can. And the world, I think Matt said it right too. The world's a better place for it, to have Bill Vories back in the world of truck and tractor pulling.
Sure.
It's like everything is right in the sport again.
Bill's always got top shelf parts, and Bill runs a good show, and he always does real well. But no, he's been a lifelong friend. So, that's all.
Hey, Spencer, besides your dad, who are some major pulling influences in your life, whether they're competitors or promoters, or who are some people that you really, really respect in the first quarter century of your life that you look up to almost like a mentor besides your dad?
I mean, there's a lot of people pulling wise. I mean, in high school and out of high school, I work for Kim Pearbeck. He has 2 super stocks, or my other deer and another deer. Him, I mean, Garden Tractor World, Tony Hefner, he's very full of knowledge. I mean, even there's some things you can still use on these that, that they're using on garden tractors. Larrabee, I mean, like I said earlier, he beat you and beat you and beat you, and you learn from that.
Yeah, I'd say. Now, someone's asking again, great question. So you went from garden tractors to semis. What other pulling vehicle would you want to try? What's on the list? Because there's got to be
other
something
classes.
Now. Yeah. What other classes are you trying? You're going to try and win at the MAC Nationals.
I mean, I drove a super stock this fall for about 150 foot until I sent the rods out the side of it.
There you go. Little rental, huh?
Kim Pearbeck's My Other Deer. It would have been at Ashland County Fair.
Is there any video?
I believe actually JP had it on there just the other day of that winners of Ashland County, and was it the winners? I just seen it today. Winners of Ashland County, and then the Carnage, and it's in the Carnage section. But
nice.
Is this a light super or heavy super?
A heavy super, Brent Long motor.
Okay. Yeah.
Kim,
so that's hot then. Yeah.
Kim hurt himself, so he said to take it. And originally I wasn't going to, and I probably shouldn't have, but I did, and we brought him back a bunch of junk.
Got some paperweights for you, sir. Here's your souvenir for letting me try. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Have another, sir.
I'd really
that's when you tell him
do it again. That or a diesel super.
You tell him to get the dang thing fixed so you can make a good pass next time. That's what you do. Yeah.
Yeah. I've
done that
up there 2 days ago, and he's working on it.
I've driven a few, and after you blow it up, you just get off and say, "Wow, that was fun." When you get that fixed, let me know. I'd like to go further. Yeah.
Yeah. That's.
As kids, we had go-karts and four-wheelers and all that. And every time we'd have friends over, we'd always stick them on one that was feeling a little weak. And then when it finally broke on them, we could blame them. So our folks weren't so mad. Maybe that was the trick there. It's kind of like, hey, it's about to go. Let's just put them on there. Spencer can break this for us.
That's the smartest freaking thing I have heard on Let's Grow Pulling since I've been on here. You are a genius. Like I've got a Triton that's about to give out on me. I got a 5.4 Triton that's about done. I think I'm going to have the neighbor go check cows with it. Like that is exactly what we are about to do.
We love to see those at stock gas pulls too. That's always really fun. People love to see rods and things break. If you notice too, Spencer said at the end of that, he was trailing off because we cut him off a little. He'd like to drive a diesel super, and I think we know someone on this podcast that happens to have one now. So maybe that was a little love thrown there.
Well, I'm gonna let my dad drive it, Spencer. So when he's sick of it, Spencer, you can take it for a spin. And Mike Beck, whenever I made a deal with Mike, whenever he wants to drive it, he can come and jump on it. So it's all good. It's all good.
I mean, if you want me to try to blow it up, I seem to be
no.
He didn't even let me sit on it when he had it parked at Louisville.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good.
But
hey, Bill, I want to go back to your pro stock days, Bill. Where is your pro stock now? And it was American Thunder, right? Your pro.
No, it's Orient Express.
Oh, that's right. Okay, shit. Sorry about that. What year did you quit pro stock pulling? And where is that tractor still together?
No, it's all parted out. I sold that to Carl Smith, and he did really well with it. But it's in pieces now. the one tractor I wish I'd have parked in the corner of the shed and just left it. So.
Did Carl, that was before Carl had night moves, or was that before or after?
Carl had a 1206 night moves, and then he bought my Orient Express and named it Night Moves. And
okay. Where'd the name Orient Express come from, Bill?
Rudy Huber gave me that name.
You laughed. I need to know more.
Well, I wanted, Orient Express was the classiest train in Europe, but it spoke like crazy. So I thought, well, we'll just do that. But then we put a dragon on the side of it. But it was a pretty popular tractor in its day. So
hell yeah.
And then we put the Magnum sheet metal on it in '88. Ran it a few years. So.
Well, Matt Hart, I know you got to go to bed because you got to get up early tomorrow to your auctioneer and stuff. So, Matt, thanks for coming on tonight. We appreciate having you on, buddy. So.
Yeah, I should be caught up now. It's been great to meet you, Bill and Spencer. Good luck this weekend. On my last note here, remind people get back on Full Pull, do the bets, and yes, $9.99 for those of us that can't make it can actually live stream it from our mobile devices and more. So check it out. We'll be cheering you guys on. Good luck, Spencer. Hopefully, again, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. So get it done. And Bill, again, what did we say? Seasoned or veteran-y? Is that the word?
Veteran.
Yeah, I can't even say that fast. Yeah, I can't even say that fast, and that takes a little doing. So it was a pleasure to visit with all of you. And Larry, of course, pleasure, my friend. We'll see you guys next Monday. Thanks.
Matt, you're the man. Have a good night, buddy.
See ya.
All right. Let's see.
Hey,
Spencer?
Jason. Yep, Spencer Spencer just sent me that video we were talking about with him driving the Brent Long powered was it my other deer or
my other deer?
My other deer.
Yeah.
So did you get that? I tried to forward that over to you, Jason, and it should be in your messenger.
Give me
and
a
we
second.
can take a gander at that right there. Brent Long motor. Brent Long from the great state of Missouri. I'm always outnumbered. I'm the only one west of the Mississippi. So any chance I get to sink my teeth into my home state. Yeah, the Brent Long motors. He was a famous engine builder and still is for a long time. And those things can be absolute bullets. So yeah, I imagine that's not something you just hop up on and take to the beach at the other end. So I'm looking forward to seeing this. So if you got into super stock driving, Spencer, would you stick with the alcohol supers or would you be a diesel super guy?
In my opinion, probably depending on whose checkbook. I think.
Let's say you've got a big one. Let's say your checkbook it's hefty. Which direction would you go?
Probably a diesel super. I mean, I wouldn't want to wrench on them. Them guys wrench on them things. I mean, I talked to Kent quite a bit, and they put a lot of work in behind the scenes, and they're just a lot of work, and they're expensive to maintain.
Let's talk about a more positive vibe tonight, guys. Like something a little more positive, other than how much diesel supers are a pain in the ass.
They're all expensive. There is no starter level to truck and tractor pulling.
Diesel supers are the best thing ever, Jason.
Yeah, I love them. I can't wait. In the comments, I put the link to JP Pulling Productions Facebook video from OSTPA 2023. It's in the comments for those of you that want to watch that. So it's all good there for you there, Spencer. No. So Mike, let's kind of wrap up with Bill and Spencer. I want to go through some of the odds. Bill, have you taken a look at fullpull.us yet?
No, I have not. Probably going to depress.
When you get a chance, you don't want to be depressed. You need to get a chance. This is what? This will be the third pass on the new tractor. Does that sound right?
Yeah.
Because you made a test pass he made a test pass somewhere this fall.
Yeah, I went to Roanoke, but it didn't really.
It was a regional event, and he went 75 feet past the winter and let off of it and coasted. I don't know. 370
feet, and then I backed out of it.
So right now there's 60,000 wagered. Again, everybody gets $1,000 play money. Full Pull will be real money here by summer, is what I've been told from the people at Full Pull. And so everybody gets $1,000 play money for this event, and whoever takes their play money and does the best with their play money wins $1,000 real money. So right now, Bill, you're 15-1. So that's a good bet right now. Throw $50 or $100 on Bill Vories. See what happens. I think Brandon Simon's still the favorite.
I noticed a lot of these were like a strong reflection of what we saw at the farm show. And because a lot of the mod class is very comparable, like it's a round 2. And I was even kind of mulling over this. Bill, this is kind of a chance for you guys to, it's like a heavyweights went to extra innings, you know, if I'm going to mix my sports analogies there. But like, it's like you guys get to come back for round 2 and kind of have a slugfest all over again. Very comparable class here. I think I said this about Ricky Rose when his odds were like 40-1, 15-1 on Bill Vories. You don't keep a big dog down. So someone's going to make some money at 15-1 on that one right there.
His tune-up will be a lot better than it was for the farm show, I can assure you, just because I know Bill.
Absolutely.
Well,
yeah.
Absolutely.
We'll go back now. What are the Simons
down there?
What's that, Bill?
Do you think they'll run pull-offs down there at that show?
That's more. I know it's an NTPA ran event. That's more of a Rich Wayne question. No, I have no idea, Bill, if they'll do that or not.
I actually doubt it. They might, but I doubt it.
We're starting at 5. We have 40 vehicles, right? 4 classes, guys, I think.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes I notice it seems like if you see a couple of, this is just general observation from pulling at Freedom Hall, if they run a couple of passes and they determine the sled is set, and then they have one guy who puts it securely in the sand, that almost forces your hand because then there's nowhere left to go. So I wonder sometimes if, you know, after 3, they looked at it, they like it, sled is set. 5th guy puts it in at 265, you know, with it well into the sand or whatever.
Yeah, that would be well. That's well. Yeah. That's over the wall.
They did move it back this year. Okay, so 245. You know, yeah, that's
Isaac. That's Isaac.
Yeah, exactly.
Zering.
That's Ike Zering. Yeah, that's Ike's official distance was 293. No, I'm just kidding. But does it, once you do see that, let's say that the sled is set and the 5th or 6th driver parks it, you know, comfortably in the pile, do they almost have to set a full pull distance at that point? Because where else is there left for the guy to beat him?
Yeah, they'll set a pull distance by then if somebody puts it in the pile.
So it might be one of those where they pull off if they have to, you know.
Yeah, they had the mods set pretty snug at the farm show. I bet they'll loosen them up a little bit down here.
Yeah.
So.
Saturday night, yeah, they were tight. That was a power track and a heavy wagon, and I was wondering, and that's what made Cameron Neves' pass so just. I mean, I came out of my seat on that, knowing Cameron and you know, working with the Outlaws like I do, because they were flirting at like 200 feet, and then Cameron comes out there and pulls 217, 220 or something like that, and you know, that made his pass all the more impressive. And then if you want to compound on that, the Simons with what their mod, that Simon mod is going to be tough to beat. That thing is just, it made some big statements and backed it up at the farm show this year. So he didn't seem to care that the sled was tight. He still went almost all the way to the sand pile with it.
Spencer, year 1, you guys pulled the opposite way, and that shook the whole world up. You pulled towards the door or towards the ramp. And then last year you pulled back to Wade. The farm show does it. Did it matter either way for you at all? Was there a difference?
No, it didn't matter. I mean, it's all the same. I trust Bauer enough that he's not going to let nothing happen.
Right. Hey, Bill, over the years, we always talk about, you hear Dan Mayer and Miles and all the announcers over the years talk about that left-hand hook, if you will, at Louisville. Has that always been there, Bill, over the years?
Well, it was until I pulled down there on Wednesday, because when I ran at Louisville, I always parked on the left side and went to the center and let it pull me back left. And it didn't pull me back left, but then watching, it did most classes, you know, but.
You were one of the few vehicles that went right and I mean, it wasn't, were you thinking you were going to try to cross track a little bit and kind of just get away from that left-hand hook, or did it just pull you right?
Well, for 2 months ahead of that, I was thinking about the last time I was there, and I started at the left edge of the door, and it went to the center and then it went back to the left and didn't have to touch the brake or anything. And like I said, I thought I was on vacation because I was driving down there through there, and I thought, oh shit, we're not going to go left. So then I waited too long to correct it, you know. But tractor ran good. Didn't turn the plugs any colors. We got a lot more we can go. I'm not going to say we're going to go all this time, but hopefully do a little better. So
it sounded like Bill was kind of reading the putt there. He started out on the left, it went to center and back to the left. So it's all good there.
Yeah, but the putt never came back.
Never broke.
Yeah.
Bill, where are we going to see you this summer, buddy? Out on the tour? Are we going to see you NTPA? Or are we going to see you Pro Polling League? What's the plan for you? Are you bouncing around?
I'll definitely do all the light mods on the NTPA, and I'll do a couple of the mods. And if I'm competitive in the mods, I'll probably try to hit them all. And then I live real close to Goshen, and for years I went there all the time, and I wouldn't mind going up there again. And I know I'm going to buy a PPL. I can't talk. A PPL membership so I can run a few of them. So
good deal. Good deal. That way you get to see Larry, and you guys can rekindle.
That's the exact reason I'm doing
it. I don't think you've ever had a license anywhere but NTPA, have you, Bill, till this year?
No, I have not.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Pretty loyal to NTPA.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
Spencer, too. Where are we going to see you this summer? Oh, go ahead, Larry. Larry, did you have a question? Sorry, bud.
No. I said I was too until I retired. Anyway, yeah. Spencer will get to see me some. Yeah.
I'm sure
Spencer,
I
what are your
Larry
plans, bud?
Plenty enough. PPLs were going to be the primary focus for this year. Some OSTPA, maybe some NTPA. We'll see what the schedule looks like, but PPL is definitely our primary focus.
Nice.
Can I ask Spencer a question?
Yes, you can do whatever you want, Bill.
So I've often wondered, I'm sure you got a Crowder clutch on that, but do you run like a regular truck transmission, or do you guys have a special made transmission that for the truck?
Our transmission is a Mack shell, but you take we go get a transmission, you send it out to Profab. Profab builds us a really strong transmission. We used to have a stock Eaton up until 2 years ago. It was stock for the most part. I mean, gears had to be worked on, but the Mack is a triple counter shaft, so we kept tearing that Eaton up, and we finally had Profab build us one, and we haven't heard it yet. So
it just amazes me you guys can keep the rear ends, and I'm sure you're doing stuff I don't even know about, but you know how just the trouble we have with trucks just on the farm, you know, what you guys do is amazing.
I mean, really, it's cat block. I mean, truck transmission, 46,000 pound rear ends. I mean, a lot, just I guess in all on how you want it geared.
And you guys run caps for tires?
Yeah, it's got to be a DOT cap.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's
Spencer.
interesting.
Spencer, Bill asked you a question. Now you got to ask Bill a question, Spencer.
Ooh, and what a I like that.
Yeah. What's your heart medicine, Bill?
Tell me about your healthcare provider.
Yeah. How's Medicare?
Spencer, can you think of anything for the great Bill Vories?
If you wasn't, besides a pro stock and a mod, what other class would you ever consider running?
Oh, I thought really, really hard of doing a diesel super this time. I went to about every diesel super.
Positivity you're looking for, Jason Schultz.
Yes, coming from a mod guy.
Yeah, because I had a diesel super in 91 or 2, and before we had billet pistons and stuff, and if I gave it enough water where the turbos would live, we'd break the pistons all the time. So
wow.
I think it changed a lot since then.
Yep.
Now, if you want to switch sometime, Jason, when mine's needing rods and bearings and shit, we'll switch, and I'll run the diesel super, and you can run the mod. And
then, oh shoot,
the world has always begged to see Jeff Hurt in a modified. The world does need to see Jason Schultz in a modified. Jason's
not a good driver. Jason Schultz is not a good driver. Jason, I don't focus long enough. So I'm happy.
The entertainment value would be excellent.
I really think we'll see Jeff Hurt in a mod before long. It's my gut feeling.
I do too.
I would agree.
Yep.
I would agree.
I posted a picture of him
the
sitting in the war wagon at the Enderley, and everybody thought for sure that Billy had sold him the war wagon. We had a lot of fun with that, so that was a good time. Sorry,
what's the history on? No, you're fine. What's the history on the current, and however you want to look at chassis frame mod, however you want to track the whole thing? Walk us through the pulling vehicle that you have right now, where it was before you had it and before that, and or is it built from the ground up? I think there's some history here, but sometimes I get my stories confused.
I built that chassis brand new in 14 when I came back. We started on it in 13, and then when I retired in 16, Longs bought it, and they went to Louisville, and Planetary broke, and they had to put new frame rails on it. But I was looking hard at one of Shelton's mods, and then Longs quit, and I just wanted a tractor that it was built for me. So Brad was built for me. So it's got the gearboxes I built. It's got the clutch cans I had. It's got about everything.
Was this
your old tractor you got back? Yeah.
Yep.
Which one was it for the Longs? Was it their blue one, or was it their one was kind of red?
The one that Keith ran.
Okay. So is it kind of more meaningful to you too to be back in the seat of something that you know?
Oh yeah, I wanted that tractor back. I thought if it ever got where I couldn't drive anymore, I'd park it in the corner because it was Brad built it for me, and he did a beautiful job.
And in reference to his earlier remark about didn't want her to bribe the children of a swing set, used to be Ralph would build the wedge frames, and Tim Engler would build the swing sets. And the joke was always, well, you're going to have a swing set or a rail frame. And actually, Wayne Purser had both entities building him a tractor, Modern Machine and Engler Machine, at the same time. And I actually went up to Modern Machine and did the roll cage on it. And on the way home, Purser said, "Hey, I need you to go down to Engler's and do a roll cage on a chassis he's building me." I said, well, I just got through doing one for you 10 minutes ago at Modern Machine on a wedge frame. He goes, "Yeah, but I'm having one built both places." Now, Jason, you talk about being able to get tractors. Well, Purser had one at each place, bare chassis, and I think he wound up running the Engler chassis. But nevertheless, that's the reference to swing set, and the children taking their swing set from him is from years ago when Ralph Banner used to say, "Oh, that's a damn swing set." But yeah, that's the story. Yeah.
And I wondered what that meant. I used to kid the guys. I hated pulling in the fairgrounds and have the kids crying because I had their swing sets turned into a tractor. So that on Wayne Purser, the wedge frame that he built, he put all the motors on it, started it, pulled it forward and pulled it backward, and pulled all the motors off of it and sold it to Tommy Owens. That's the Thorn tractor.
Oh, okay.
But I did 2 cages for Purser at 2 different locations on 2 different style tractors in the same week. So
and Ralph Banner and Brad Corporal have built me at least 5, maybe 6 chassis over the years.
Right. Yeah, it's been a good run. You know what, Bill? We've had a hell of a good time.
Yep. Hopefully it's
don't go yet. Don't go yet.
It's not.
We hope to still go. So, hey Spencer, can you see that question on the bottom of the screen, buddy?
Yeah. Is Hudsonville, is it a PPL or NTPA?
I don't know. That's a Larry question.
Well, right now it's still up in the air, I believe. I know that they've talked to both, and I don't know that the papers are signed on both. I really don't know what it'll be, Spencer.
What's it been in the past? Or is that a new
hook?
That's a new hook. What's the one you guys do hook? NTPA does hook semis up in Michigan, and I can't think there's like one town up there. What's the name of that?
Morley. I think
Morley, Michigan.
Okay.
Morley, Michigan. Yeah, but Hudsonville used to have regional shows, and I think years ago, Grand National, they were NTPA, but they've laid out for a while and they're coming back. But I do know they've talked to both parties, and I honestly don't know who signed it yet.
Some things that made interesting in scheduling this year that I didn't realize, but with it being a leap year, pushed some weekends to like non-typical weekends that were like, the third weekend in July or now the second or fourth or whatever. I don't know. I don't study calendars.
I always feel like July screws it up.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's 5 weekends in July and sometimes there's 4. And I think
that's led to some shuffling of some various polls and depending on who got what and what landed where. So, something always to kind of keep your eyes on. I like digging into that. When I was a fan, it was always neat to be like, oh, these guys went that way or this went that way this year. I'm not nearly as much interested as I used to be. I think there's way more room, plenty of room for all the organizations than I used to think.
Jason responded, that's a brush pull in June. I did it with the sled. They ran a pro stock semi class last year. Jason runs a sled for Lowry Brothers, besides getting the corn fed back out. So right there's your answer on Hudsonville. They ran a pro stock semi class this past June. So I don't know, like I say, who they're sanctioning with, but I do know that they've talked to both parties.
And we've tentatively penciled Jason in. He doesn't know this yet for Monday, April 8th, as long as Larry can be on there that night. Mm-hmm. I don't know if Larry's going to be on vacation that weekend or not, but if we can't, we're going to shoot for Monday. Next weekend, next Monday, we have the creator of the Super Farm class from Iowa or Nebraska coming on. The following weekend, we're going to be live from Farley, Iowa, with Rounds and Simons. And then I'm thinking Monday the 8th, I'm thinking maybe get Jason on, Larry.
April 8th, I'll be doing a tech school in Baxley, Georgia at 6 p.m. So okay. I won't be available April 8th.
We're not interviewing Jason without you. We're not interviewing Jason without you. Pretty simple.
I do OSTPA tech school on the 7th, Baxley, Georgia on the 8th. And then I go on down to Florida to do that last event down there at Clay County, Florida, below Jacksonville on the 12th and 13th or 13th and 14th. And then I'll be back. But the 8th, I will actually have a tech school on Baxley, Georgia for PPO.
Bill, when you took the years off, I know you had some health problems, but what did you miss most about pulling?
That's a good question.
I miss the people, but the competition, you just it's a lot of fun knocking heads and trying to win and stuff, After taking them years off and then starting again, I'm like, how in the hell did I get all that stuff done on 5 motors when I only got 3 now? And but a lot has changed. We have the Midas tires; they hook it so much better. It's going to take a little bit to get back in the swing of things.
Those tires put the world of pulling in the mod class and unlimited class, especially, like, it took them to a whole new level in a heartbeat. And it went from the horsepower war to the tire war really quickly. And it was kind of, if you weren't running those for the beginning year, 2021, 2022, I think some of the other brands are just as competitive now, but they're for a little bit, those Midas or Mitos, or I've heard it said every different which way.
Mitos is the way they say it. Yeah.
Mitos.
Mitos tire did bring the mod class to a new level and made a lot of guys have to change a lot of things. Yep. But if I was hooking in the mod class or even the heavy super class, it'd be a Mitos, I can assure you.
But some of the pro pullers and some people I think have even gone back. I mean, it's fun because it's almost like a tire war. People always have their, spark plugs or diesel. And then, there's the John Deere and the International or whatever you get behind. I mean, now you kind of walk around the pits and you look at the sidewalls of the tires and you say, what is this guy doing? What is this guy thinking? And I saw some big passes made by both tires this year, but the technological advances that they came out with about 3 years ago really ran things forward.
That makes me, Spencer. Yeah. Tires really have been the biggest thing the last 3 or 4 or 5 years in I would say the tractor and the truck classes. In the semi class, has there been a big involvement with you guys, or a new thing that kind of came along, or are we seeing more just big one charger setups versus having 2 or 3 chargers? What's been the one thing, if you will, in the semi truck class, I would like the last 5 years, that if you don't have it, you're just going to get your ass handed to you?
A Weimer turbo. I mean, when I first started driving, even when my dad was running it, Columbuses, I mean, they were okay turbos, but you get one that lives and one didn't really live. I mean, Weimers came along and you get a turbo, they got them to live, and now we're making so much more power. I mean, if it wasn't for Weimer, you got to have something like, you got to have a Weimer.
Nice.
In my opinion.
I was curious about that. No, that's your opinion matters.
Yeah.
You won the truck show. You're kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
You can say that and people have to listen to you. It's all good. It's all good. Well, Bill, Spencer, I don't know if you guys got anything left tonight. I want to let you guys go. I know you got to get ready. We're going to see you here in a couple days. Thank you for coming on tonight. This means the world to us. Bill, to have you on like this, I grew up watching you. I'm sorry I forgot the name of your pro stock. I get too many names in my vehicles in my head, but I wish you luck this weekend. It's fun to hear that you don't think Larry's an asshole. That's my favorite thing of this podcast tonight, because I've met so many people that think Larry is an asshole, and it's just tough. It's hard on me. So, and Spencer, you're a fine young man. The future is bright. People say all the time, we don't have enough youth in the sport. We do, and it's great to see great people like you coming up, and your dad's awesome to let you do this. And to go from garden tractors to semis, that's pretty much it. You went from the lightest weight class to the heaviest weight class, so it's pretty fun.
That's the coolest thing I've heard. Yeah, that's awesome.
I want to go through some full pull stuff with Mike and Larry. We're going to go through the odds and stuff like that. So,
yeah.
Bill, Spencer, do you guys have anything left here tonight before we let you go?
Well, it was nice meeting you, Spencer. And I tell you what, when I get down to Louisville, we'll measure that turbo and you'll know exactly what size it is. So,
okay, we will do that.
I'd say it's a 6.5 Weimer. Yeah,
it could be a 7. There's a lot of people out there that say Weimer's got a 7-inch, but I'm yet to see one. But it could be.
Don't let Dean Hollicky look under your
either.
hood, Spencer. If you've seen Dean Hollicky coming with a tape measure, just shut the hood, okay, bud?
That's fine.
You gotta get the hood on you first. The hood ain't on yet.
Yeah.
Awesome. Bill, Spencer, thank you guys. This has been great. You guys have a good night.
thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for
Thank you
coming
for
on,
being
guys.
on.
see you guys.
That's cool.
That
Mike,
was
good
rock
job.
star. That was rock star.
When you said you got Bill to come on, I about shit. I was so excited for that. I made me so happy.
He was pumped up too because he was messaging me. He was worried that he wasn't going to figure out the tech stuff. So I sent him an email, a text message. We have been communicating all day, but yeah, that was when he was one that texted back and he was like, "Yeah, that sounds fun." Like all week long, I was like, "Let's go!" Like this is going to be a good lineup.
I think he watches on a regular basis. We got a lot of closet watchers out there. But no, he did the same thing. He texted me, he goes, "I got a new computer. I hope I don't screw it up." And I says, "Well, if it doesn't work or you don't figure it out, use your phone." I can. Yeah, you can use your phone. No big deal. But yeah.
Well, the
Bill's
vision,
a great guy. Like I said, I've known him forever.
The vision of this podcast is always to put faces with names. And we've been doing it since 2015 now. We're coming up on 10 years next year. And then obviously we talk to promoters as well that work with us throughout the season to help them put a bigger spotlight on their event. And it's been fun. Mike and Larry and Matt, you guys have been a real great addition to the show. And Larry's unique style of life, and Mike, your true just fandonism. And I'm going to start making up new words like veterany. I thought that was pretty good.
And fandonism's another one. That's.
Well, I didn't want to call Bill. I didn't want to call Bill Vories old. I don't mind saying whatever I want the rich line because he hammers me all the time, but I love it. But I didn't want to call Bill Vories old.
Well decorated, seasoned.
Well decorated. So yeah,
Bill,
Todd Brundage
Bill's
says
a
thanks
little
for bringing those guys on.
Bill's a little bit older than me. I know how much, but I won't say. But no, Bill, a few years ago, he did have some health problems. He survived them, and I'm glad he did. So yeah,
good deal. So for those of you that want to watch the live stream, it'll be at fullpull.live. The announcement was made today that Full Pull bought the licensing's right to NTPA live stream. So that's happening. There is going to be a Full Pull app, a Full Pull live app on Roku, but it's not going to be there. So for this weekend, they're only charging you $9.99 for the live stream. And there you get the replay as well. So that's a smoking deal. So we're looking forward to that this weekend. But I kind of want to talk about the favorites a little bit and go through the odds. And I want to see how you guys feel. Yes. The wagering's really, again, this is still play money. Real money's coming here. I've been told in a couple months, hopefully by the start of the Grand National season. I do not work for Full Pull. I mean, I do as an influencer, but I'm not a decision maker. I don't know when the app's coming out and stuff like that. But I do get a text message from them guys, and they say, make sure you talk about this or post about this. And today I've been posting about the new live stream, Full Pull Live. The agreement was signed last week with the NTPA from what I've been told. And now that we can start talking about it, about all that. So I'm going to bring up the screen here, guys. I'm going to go to fullpull.us, and you can also do it on the app. And I want to talk about the odds a little bit. I kind of feel like Mike and Larry, a couple days before, I think like Wednesday, Thursday this week, when we'll start seeing a lot more action, if you will, on here.
Oh yeah.
Right now, let's see here. Can you guys see that? Okay, is that too small?
Yep. And I'm looking forward to this. I really like breaking down predictions and because you can
so the
tell
pro
a
stock
lot too about.
At the start of the show, the pro stock class was at 95,000. It's at 105 right now. So 10,000 has been wagered on pro stocks. Mini rods were in the 70,000s. You don't have to like gambling, but this is going to bring a whole new audience to our sport, and it's going to put more money back in the pullers' pockets. And I know some people, blah blah blah, and I don't care. I haven't been this excited about anything, and I'd be saying this whether I was on payroll or not. I'm excited about full pull for this reason. I talked to some of the marketing people that work for full pull that are in New York, and they're going to bring a different audience to the sport. And Larry, you've seen, God dang it, Larry. What year did you start pulling, Larry?
1974.
So I was born in 75. So Larry, I mean, and I'm not picking on you right now. I have a ton of respect for you. You know that. What have been the biggest, this is the next big thing for pulling from taking it to the next level. Cause I always hear that, the good old days and the heydays and the red man days and shit like that.
Right.
Larry, what were those? If we went by decade, Larry, would that be nice to do? Or what was the heyday, Larry? Because the purses are the same now. They're actually less, right, than they were, Larry, 25 years ago?
In a lot of cases, they are. I hate to say it, but they are.
No,
Jason, in a lot of cases.
No. There's a lot more competition now for the dollar. There's a lot more stuff going on. Sponsors have a lot more place to put their money around.
I think the biggest thing the biggest earth-shattering thing that changed the sport was when we got down to 2 or 3 manufacturers of chassis. Everybody wasn't building their own. When the Tim Englers and the Ralph Banners started building chassis for people besides themselves, I think that, I think Tim's one of the first ones to build a gearbox where you could put 2 engines back to back rather than side by side. Ralph probably built one of the first gearboxes where they were side by side. But I would give the credit to Tim Engler and Ralph Banner for bringing the sport from, hey, we're going to go out here and get a tractor rear end. We're going to try to beef up the rear end where it'll handle it, put some channel iron or some frame rails on it, and put an automotive type engine. I mean, that to me, that was the first stepping stone, if you will, to where we are today. It's when they could actually go out and purchase a chassis or have someone build them a tractor, like would have Steve Stapp build a sprint car, or it's one of those deals. That was the big jump to professionalism as in vehicles that I say.
Nice. I've always wanted to really ask you that, Larry, and dive in. So what you see on the screen right now, fans, and if you listen in later this week on the podcast, just head over to fullpull.us on your tablet or your computer, or just go to the Full Pull app. So everybody's getting $1,000 play money. You can see up in the upper right-hand corner, I've already made all my bets. I went live earlier today, and I made all my bets. When the announcement came out about the new fullpull.live, where you can watch the live stream for $9.99. But the mini rod class has $80,000 wagered on it so far. And it's going to be like horse racing. It's going to follow the line. It's going to follow the money line on that. So if the window's open, Larry, how do I say that? Until the gate drops, or that's the odds when they end it, those are the odds you end up with. That's the simplest way I can say it. So just
like betting the ponies or the dog races.
Yep.
I mean, the betting window's open until a certain number of minutes before they actually open the starting gate. And same thing with this right here.
And the odds live adjust. You're not locked in at your odds. Nope. If I pick Jeff Hurt at 10.11 to 1, and then suddenly those go all the way down to 1.5 to 1, that's what my payout will be. If they go to 100 to 1 and Jeff wins, then we laugh all the way to the bank. So
not a lot of people maybe have guessed or bet the horses or the dog racing, but it's the same principle exactly. Those are all variable, and they will change as the bets are placed. And then in the last minute they'll close, of course. But no, it's fun to do, and I'm sure it's going to be the next thing. I agree with you, Jason. I'm not a big wagerer myself. The only reason I don't buy a lottery ticket is I don't have the $2 to buy one. But anyway, I'm just saying.
No, that's fine. I just wanted to.
That's the next thing going. Yeah, it's an advancement. There's no question.
Well, I mean, at our booth in Louisville, Larry, we had the tractor on display in booth 3914. Do you still remember that, Mike?
Is that what it was?
Was it 3914? I remember.
I feel 29. That's all we 39. Said for 6 weeks 39. Was that number was, and now it's gone from my mind. I thought I was going to have that tattooed on me.
Larry, the biggest, a lot of the fans come up because we talk about full pull a lot, obviously. And a lot of the fans said, Larry, there's truck fans and there's tractor fans. You know that.
Oh, yeah.
The truck fans are saying, you know what? I normally don't watch the pro stocks, but I watch the pro stocks because I wagered on them. And then vice versa. I heard, hey, when the trucks pull, I normally just go get an ice cream cone or Ailers or 7 more beers or whatever. And they said I stayed and watched because, I'd wagered on them. So I'm really excited about that. And I look at what gambling has done for sports, and it's, very well taken it to the next level from a popularity standpoint. So let's buzz through this. I'm going to kind of read through them. I know, Larry, it's an hour ahead of you out there. I want to wrap this up in the next 10 minutes or so. And Mike, thanks again. You were so good at getting guests. Bill Vories, Spencer Rook, and Carlton Cope. That was awesome. Carlton Cope. So when I announced at Gordyville years ago, and he brought his pro stock, he didn't make the finals one night. He missed it he got 5th place. And they took the top 4 to the finals. We had $5,000 brought to the announcer stand for charity if he could pull in the finals. And Carlton's like, hell yeah. And all the other pullers like, hell no, we had to beat him once. We don't have to try to beat him again. I went up to
did he pull?
Yeah, I don't remember, to be honest.
You know what? It might have been one of those evenings when the adult beverages were helping you get through. Were you announcing with Art Downs?
Yes.
Well, then you had to have his special lemonade or whatever concoction.
I was waiting for that.
Thermos.
And Butch Krieger liked to party when he announced too. I sat down next to Butch. He goes, "What are we drinking?" And I'm like, "Oh, you're my new hero, Butch. This is going to be fun."
That is my biggest fear. I'm not going to lie. I cannot wait to get into announcing. I cannot wait to continue announcing. And I want to do so much more of it. But I also love to have a good time. And I'm terrified that someone's going to come up to the crow's nest with a case of Coors Light. And I'm going to be like, I don't know what's going to happen here.
Don't do it.
Only Larry Richwine can get away saying the stuff that he gets away with.
And I'm stone sober when I do it. The only time I had an adult beverage announcing, the only time I ever had an adult beverage, honest to God, while announcing was when Tom Min, Bob Min's father at Mount Sterling, he goes, "Would you like a lemonade?" And I said, "Sure." He goes, "You want one like mine?" I said, "Sure." Jesus, Pete, they sent that up there and it was all vodka and just a little bit of coloring. And I took a few sips. I don't think I actually finished it because I'm not a drinker anyway. But the bottom line is, you need to have your head about you and know what's going on when you announce. Yeah.
No, the biggest mistakes I made those earlier years, 20 years ago announcing was I pretend I was announcing to my friends, Mike. My friends, my 5 or 6 friends that were at the poll, and there was another 5,000 people there that didn't like my jokes. And then I don't have much of a filter when I'm sober, and when I drink, it's gone. So that one year between sessions at Gordyville and the guys on pull off, there's still a couple haters on there that still post. I know there's more than that, but I went over to that bar in between sessions on Saturday. I did 17 shots of Fireball, and I came back Saturday night thinking I could announce. Amy Jo Estes took the batteries out of my microphone and said, "Jason, your batteries aren't working," because Tucker was like, "We saved your life that night, Schultz." I'm like, "Yeah, sorry about that."
Did you continue calling the pull, not realizing you're over here just eating your heart out?
Then at that point, you're kind of embarrassed. You're drunk, and you just I just started pounding a bunch of water, and I finally sobered up, but it was too late. It was all good. I learned a lot from it, not to be a dumbass.
Oh man,
yeah, it's all good. All right. So let's roll through these mini rods.
Yeah.
Again, these are the current odds, everybody. Everybody gets $1,000 play money. Whether you've signed up at the app or not, or whether you're a new user or you do it before, they're going to reload your account with $1,000. And the app is way better than it was last summer. Larry and I worked a lot of the events together. The app was in version 1 and it sucked. It was clunky. Chase admitted it. They were working through it, and that's why they're, it's clean now. It remembers your password. Everything's working good. It's just a lot. It's a lot more user friendly. So B Bear Jeff Hurt 10-1, Bobcat Jr. Abby Leichner, she's 9-1. Funny. So Ken Venny's been the favorite since day one, guys. Because I look at this every day. Ken Venny is 6.5 to 1. Now See, like Brian Guza right there. That's that mini rod is mean, and he's 17-1.
Well, look at Grant. Look all the way down there at Grant. Granted, 18-1. And I spoke with the Theobalds today. I wanted to give them a shout out just because they're wonderful people and nice family, and they had some great words to say today. But if you paid attention to what Renee and Grant did this summer, there's money to be made at 18-1 on Grant Theobald. Am I allowed to say who I picked? Can we say that on this show? I don't remember if we can do that.
We can say whatever we want on here.
I am 95% certain that I picked Grant in this class. So,
well, you can bet on 5 different tractors in this class.
I know, but my strategy this time, because I did that with the MLM Motorsports, I did that at the Golden State Invitational, and I bet on like 35 pullers, and I was like, something's gonna hit. And but this one, I just did an even 4. I just picked 1 per class on this one, and I'm pretty sure I picked Grant. If that dude 18-1, buddy, if you're watching tonight, go make me some money, dude.
Yeah. Well, this is year 3 of the minis. Jeff's won it both times, right, Larry?
No, Ken won it last year, didn't he?
No.
Jeff
won it last year.
Oh.
Who won it?
Jeff Hurt won last year. Because I was texting him while he was up on the podium thing. I was texting him and giving him heck for winning 10 grand. Yeah. Trust me.
Yeah, and that's something we haven't really talked about tonight is Mike Connie guarantees each winner 10 grand. So this is, I mean, Larry, this is the biggest first place payout there is in pulling. I know Shides has done that a couple times.
And Connie's done it at the Wagler pull and stuff. He's done it before the Pro Stock Challenge and stuff. But no, it's 10 grand to win in all classes, I believe. But Jeff won it last year because I was giving him heck about it. I was texting the heck out of him.
Trying to borrow some money.
He was. Yeah, well, he did sleep on my couch one night, and I kind of want paid for that. So,
So Adam Kester,
a couple of new. The Slaws mini rods are going to be either totally revamped because of the rule change, I think, and then Adam Kester had something working in the wings too. I know they were talking about just really not being satisfied with where their chassis was in the past, so we might see some hot off the presses first release updates with some of these mini rods.
Yeah, and as one of the helpers with the Pullers Championships, I'm just like crossing my fingers that nobody, because a lot of the mod guys are like, we'll let you know. We'll let you know after the farm show or after a Mac trailer.
You're rooting for the tamest pull of what you're just like, hey, just 210 feet right down the middle.
Dylan Bunnage, that thing's tough. Like,
yes,
that
it
thing
is.
I saw him run really good at Chapel Hill last year. I feel like he might have won the first farm show or the first Mac trailer. If anybody's watching,
that does ring a bell.
But yeah, I mean, Grant Theobald 18-1, showing Bruce Slot 18-1.
Another good one is Abby. Abby's she's a Bowling Green winner, and she can win that Bobcat.
But she's 9-1. She's one of the
factor. Like the minute it showed up before they even started hanging out in the Leichner camp, that thing was just unbeatable. And then once Abby took over driving and Bill and the whole family, and I think they still work with the original owners on that. That thing's a hot rod, and it's never not going to be a hot rod. So yeah, that makes sense that she's at 9-1.
Larry, do Leichners own that, or is that still owned by how does that work? Do you know, Larry? Do they just put that over here?
I believe they're just running it for them. I honestly don't know, but I believe that they're just running it for them over here.
Okay. Yeah. Kevin Benet, I think I said that right. I know Kevin. I've met him before. He says Bruce Law won it the first year.
There you go.
That sounds right. Yeah.
Bruce. Bruce. It's you can't count any of these guys out. You're gonna sit there and bet against Bruce or Tyler.
That's what's so fun about this.
Well, that no matter what class it is, it's the deep end of the pool, guys. I mean, this is I hate to use the term the best of the best, but by God, it is. It's a sampling of the best there is out there. I mean, I know it's just an NTPA show, but these guys run everywhere with everybody.
Well, this is kind of like it's NTPA tech, basically. I mean, it's Mike. I think Mike decided who's going to be here, didn't he, Larry? Or how's it? Do you know Mike, the selection process?
I really don't know. I don't know. I know it's an NTPA. First year it was a PPL show, and then last year and this year it's an NTPA show. I know Mike Ott's the manager of it, and for Mike Connie and the guys. But no, it's I honestly don't know the selection process, but I'm sure they had more than that apply to come. Yeah.
Yeah, gotcha. So that's mini rods. So this is fun. So Ken Venny is your favorite right now at 6.5 to 1. 12,000 of the 80,000 wagered in this class is on Ken Venny right now. So it's going to be fun to kind of see this
That's
as
cool.
the week goes on. Marty Wilson is Ken Venny's biggest fan. So we've had $300 bet on the mini rod class since we started here. So this is kind of fun.
The longer we talk about it, the more people will bet on it.
No,
are we going to do all 4?
Yes.
Good.
Pro stocks. So, I mean, again, how do you pick? How do you pick?
Jack Mays. I thought Jack Mays was they ought to give an award for best of show or whatever. The guy that didn't win, but like kind of made your eyebrows raise the most. I thought Jack Mays had one of the best farm shows of any of the competitors there. I was super impressed with the showing that he had. So I think he's coming back.
And it's like Savanovic, the most photographed tractor in the history of pulling, the bootlegger, the new bootlegger, with this keg ice cooler with the ether can holder built in. Obviously didn't run.
First thing I said is those cans can't stay there, by God.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, I think it was Tyler Saul. It's like, isn't that like a bomb inside a bomb?
Oh, shoot.
It's great for display, but when it comes time to run, no ether cans inside next to the intercooler. No.
Who's our number one odds? Who's leading the odds right here now, Jason?
Oh, okay. Who do you think? Who do you think? Louisville Pro Stock. Who do you think?
Loud and heavy.
No, Masterson.
Oh no, it's going to be. Well, no, we're going to be
Kevin Masterson, River Rat.
Poles.
Masterson going to be the.
It's Masterson.
He'll be
thick.
He'll be the. Yeah.
And then I think Julia Ray is right. It's
Julia Ray. I've said this before. If you need to pick someone, there's a big difference between looking at winning a points championship and looking at winning. And if you're just like, I need someone to win right now, just a win, an individual pull. Julia Ray is a stud at that. Other people might beat her out at the end of the year, but if like you just need a victory in the moment, kind of like hey, it's a 5 seconds left on the clock and we need a game-winning 3. Draw up a play for Julia. Like she can win at the drop of a hat.
Yeah, and I don't feel like this has got hot and heavy yet. I feel like starting Wednesdays when we're going to really start seeing stuff moving a little bit. Because I think a lot of people. Brandon's 10 to 1. That's going to go down. RJ's 13 to 1. Those Simons are the big names. Your Mastersons. Carlton hasn't really been out the last couple of years running hard. He's 21 to 1 right now, but he's on the dyno right now. How cool is that we had him on? I was hoping he would show us.
I thought we were going to get to see it.
Yeah.
Well, there was actually, we seen a little footage of him going in the dyno room, but it didn't continue. Yep. Yeah.
Injected funds, Brent Meyer, your NTPA Grandmaster champ, 18 to 1.
Right.
There's some, for none of these are real long shots at all to win.
No.
It just takes one. No. That was neat to hear Carlton say. Didn't Carlton say it's kind of a different vibe? Kind of one and done. And I was neat how he said that. Like, you don't make the finals. Nobody's riding your ass all week. Like, what'd you do wrong? That was kind of neat.
You run on Wednesday night and get put in the trailer, and then you got to stand there or sit there and watch everybody else, and I understand that. Yeah. I was loaded on the trailer several times.
105,000 so far wagered. I think the farm show was 300 or 400 just on the pro stocks, if I remember correctly. Sure. So that's kind of fun to see. So let's move to the mods next. 61,000 wagered so far. Bill Vories on the show tonight, 13 to 1. Cameron Neves got second. The only outlaw competitor in the whole show, 10 to 1. Dirt Slinger Bill Leichner, 6 to 1. Full Blown Wicked Doug Theobald, 19 to 1. Giddy Up Ricky Rose, 20 to 1. Ricky's either going to win it or he's going to break. That's what Ricky does. He had an awesome,
right. Yeah.
He had an awesome Toma this year. Awesome Toma up there. Wayne Sullivan, 9 to 1. Steve Bullinger, 14 to 1. Tommy Owens, 13 to 1. Then Brandon's the strongest favorite out of all the 4 classes, guys. I don't think I got another 3 to 1.
Here's where it gets tricky, and here's where you need to remember: this is not a pick'em contest. This is betting. So, cool, yay, hey, hurrah, whatever. Like, if I put my $1,000 on Brandon at 3.5 to 1, and he wins, which is sure, we can all easily see that happening. $3,500 payback is not going to win this thing. We saw that at the farm show. You need to 50, 60, 70,000. This is sometimes more about understanding how you manage your funds. I do home loan. Then
let's talk about your debt to income ratio, sir.
I don't I just spend. There is no in, just out.
Well, what's
Jason,
fun about
go ahead. When you give a home loan, aren't you gambling too, Jason?
Yeah, kind of. But what's cool about the screen here? Now, I already spent my $1,000 earlier today because I did a live and I did them all. But like here, if I had money in my account, if I typed in $50, it would show me what my projected payout would be right here.
So
then you just go down and click on place bet, but I can't place any bets because
that's what I'm saying is that's almost why. Who would I pick to win? Who would I pick to win this class? Probably Brandon Simon. Who would I bet on to win the competition is going to be completely different because it's not a pick'em contest. This is a betting contest. So you get like a Wayne Sullivan at a 9-1. That's a safe pick. Dylan Owens at a 21-1. That's a money pick. And if that thing hits, watch out.
Well, that's what happened at Diesels and Dark Corners when they first rolled out this new format. All this has been preparing for real money, as we all know. And Diesels and Dark Corners, Van Hazley was the favorite each night in Superstock Diesel, and the Cummins Killer won both nights. And whoever won the contest down there had put some money on the Cummins Killer, and it paid out. So, but there was not a more dominant vehicle at Louisville than Brandon Simon. Did anybody else, Larry or Matt or Mike, win their qualifier and the finals?
Yes, Saturday afternoon sweep with round one Saturday afternoon, and then turned around and won Saturday night. So
we're going to be at his shop in 2 weeks.
Yeah,
we're going to be at his shop in 2 weeks,
and that's in one day. He did the sandwich style. He didn't even let it cool off. He brought it right back. Well,
sandwich style.
Well, isn't that what they do in sandwich, where they run at noon and run at 6?
Correct. You are correct, sir.
That place has an awesome, unique announcer. So
I've heard good things.
That was a stretch. That was oh my goodness, yeah.
So semis, this doesn't surprise me at all. Ryan DeBrew has been dominant this year. 3-1. Islands 6-1. Hillbilly. And the rest of it's pretty even, to be honest. But 14,000 of the 60,000's on Ryan right now. Pat Island, Mark Spencer Rook. We had them on the show tonight. That was great again. Then Dean Hollicky, Drivers Wanted. That's Simon's semi. Who, Larry, did they buy one? Did they build one? What's the history on that truck? Do you have any idea?
I believe they bought one. I don't know. That's a Brandon or RJ question, but heck, they buy and sell, and they basically are a broker of anything pulling. So who knows? But I honestly can't tell you that. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Well, this will be my first time actually being there. I haven't been able to go the last couple of years just with conflicts. So I've been told this is a different crowd. This is a different vibe by like Mike Otts and people down there. It's a little more energetic of a crowd is what I've been told. It's a little more, this isn't necessarily a pull-in fan. This is more of because Friday night they have the concert. This is maybe a little more of a party crowd. Not that Louisville's not a party. Right. How do I say this right, Larry? They just said it's a different kind of a crowd. The announcers have said it's a little more energetic or a little more active. If that's the right word.
They're truckers. They're on the road. They're conversing with each other at the truck stops and on the radio, whatever. The farm crowd, the farm show. I won't say it's an older crowd, but most of those guys have been going forever and ever and ever and ever. And they walk the show all day, and then at night they go to the pull every night, 4 nights. But it's a one-night deal, and the truck show attracts a whole different crowd all together between the show and shine and the exhibitors and stuff. I would definitely think it would be a whole different atmosphere. Yeah.
Hey, I've got the rundown on the Simons truck. Spencer just texted me. He said Simons bought Eileen's truck, which was Dean's truck before. It's the old mother.
Oh, the mother trucker.
Right.
The mother trucker's back. That makes sense to throw Dean in the seat.
Mm-hmm.
Still one of the best names ever for a vehicle.
Mother trucker.
Heard this. Yeah, somebody just said on Facebook. Heard that the old metro went through, passed through. Just what I heard. Yeah. So, And then I want to show you real quick. Here's what the website for the live stream looks like, everybody. This is at fullpull.live. So if you want to access the live stream, you're just going to basically go to fullpull.live. You're going to click Get Access Now. And you're going to put in your email, your name, and then you're going to agree, and then you're going to put your credit card in for $9.99. And there you go. So it starts at 5 p.m. Eastern. That's new for everybody. That'll be 4 p.m. Central. Larry, you live in the Eastern time zone, don't you? Or are you stuck in Central?
Correct.
No, you're Eastern.
5 o'clock. Eastern. 5 o'clock my time. 4 o'clock your time.
Exactly. So again, the new Full Pull Live this weekend. So we're excited for that. So, Larry, Bill Vories.
Right.
How many? So we got Ken Venny. What are some of those guys out there that we know they're in their I don't want to say final years of life, but final years of pulling? What are some other legends like that? Ken Venny's one of them. Vories is one of them. I'm trying to think in the classes. If I go through them all. Pro stock seem to be a younger
There's
vibe.
several in each class.
Yep. But the history that you guys have built, or the foundation you guys have built for pulling, it's extraordinary, Larry. It's extraordinary. So
I feel very fortunate to have lived in the time I did in pulling. I mean, 1974, I was a junior in high school, and I put 2 small blocks together, and I was going to kick Ralph Banner's butt. But
how'd that go?
That only happened if he broke. Well, if they broke, it was great. But no, I'm very fortunate, and I've said it many times on this show and otherwise, very blessed to have lived during that period and met the guys I've met. And like him or not, you say the name Richwine, and they'll either roll their eyes or they'll say, yeah, I know him. But I've been very blessed there. And the fact of the matter is, whether it's the younger generation or the older generation, it's a hell of a good thing. It's a family sport, and you've heard me emphasize that many times. Theobald's, it's 3rd generation pulling right now. I mean, Keith and Jan bought a modified out of Greencastle, Indiana, and rolled in next to me. I was just a teenager, rolled in, parked on the other side of the tree at Plainville, Indiana, and that's how I met them. And the boys were just little shavers, and it does my old heart good. But I've watched a lot of things come and go, but right now is an exciting time, not just horsepower wise. I mean, who would have thought you'd take a stock engine, even though it's a 619 block in a John Deere, and have over 5,000 horse easily on the dyno? I mean, my God, that engine had 250 stock. I mean, it's just unbelievable what they can do with one turbocharger. Now, that turbocharger actually weighs about 150 pounds. It's amazing.
The jump in horsepower is so big that I find myself off the top of my head, and obviously I don't have the pulling background that you guys do, and I don't have the mechanical background that probably you guys do either. But the jump in horsepower is so big from stock to where they end up at that I struggle with even being able to always keep track of the frame of reference where I need to jump off. Like you said, cubic inch makes sense to me. I can always picture cubic inch, and things like that. But when we go from 200 and then it's going to go all the way to 5,000, I lose track. I'm like, are our pro stocks at 3,000? Are they at 4,000? Are they at 5,000? Now the unlimiteds I can remember we're over 10,000. But even to try to put that, to look at anything in the real world where that has a sense of scale, it's so big, it's hard to wrap your mind around.
I can say this much. Pulling. At the farm show, pro stocks pulled every night, okay, all 4 nights, and that is the premier class of the farm show. That's the most popular class with the competitors and the fans is the pro stock. And I can assure you that none of them dynoed less than probably 4,500 horse. But the majority of them are right at 5,000 plus. And I've seen dyno sheets on some and just shook my head and went, my God, how do they hold together? But it's amazing what they're doing with it. And it's job security for a guy like me that's in charge of safety and tech and stuff. But it's hard to keep up, Mike. It really is. It's hard for me to keep up with what's going on and try to stay ahead of it safety-wise.
This is the class where in mid to late 80s, they said, well, super stocks have gotten have gotten too big and quick and fast. We need more of an entry level and economical level and out of the farm, out of the field level. We'll develop the pro stocks. And you can go back and watch the videos on them back then, and the big Wallerin 10,000, 12,000 pound pro stocks. And I can remember my dad was the one who told me this class never was built for speed. He says, forget the horsepower, look at the speed. He goes, speed used to belong to light supers and light supers only, and now you're taking the 10,000 womp class and they're pushing 40, mile an hour ground speed and 100 mile an hour tire speed. It's incredible. It's awesome.
Larry, when did we go to the speed sled? Was there a specific year, the race sled or the speed sled?
Well, Von Bauer is the king of building a race sled, if you will. But actually, Dave Hager, of course, he's been instrumental for many, many years in sled building, and he started building them where you could put weight, take the weight off the pan in the take coming out of the hole. But Von perfected it, and Von's sleds can be adjusted where they're not light out of the hole. There's a lot of sleds out there that he built. Some of the first ones, I think he's built like 28 or 9 sleds, but I know one sled in particular was either the first or second sled he built, and we was at an event. It was on one track, and of course one of his newer sleds was on the other track, and he went over there and he goes, "What the hell have you done to my sled? It don't need to be this heavy out of the hole." And he crawled underneath it and adjusted it, and the guy running it didn't like it. And I was running the show, and I says, "Well, I don't care what you want to do. Sit there and ride the damn thing." And so anyway, Vaughn adjusted it, and all of a sudden, wow, it was taking off and running. So all those sleds are basically the same design. He's perfected it and got everything better, but basic design's the same. The fulcrum points and everything have all been the same until he built the red sled, and it's actually got a longer pan, and the pivot pins moved a little bit, but no, Von Bauer is to be given credit for going fast out of the hole and basically carrying a pan at least half track before you even think about it. But it's momentum. And you said your dad said it wasn't a speed class. Well, it wasn't till what they were pulling got really light out of the hole. It's amazing.
Oh, it's awesome. It is awesome. Well, it's after 10. It's after 11 at Larry's house. We had a great audience tonight. Again, Mike, thank you for bringing in some big names like that. It really, really, it's good for the show. So next Monday, I have the creator of the Super Farm class from it's either Nebraska or Iowa. I'm going to get that announced here later this week. I got to go check my notes. April 1, we're going to go to Farley, Iowa. We're going to be live from Farley. We're going to kick off the Badger State show. We're going to kind of do a combo show, like a down and dirty Let's Grow pulling together. Just going to kick everything off at 7. And then we're just going to start out with Jason Ron, and then we're going to roll in with Simons. Tim Vorwald was supposed to tell Brandon and RJ to come over to rounds. So that should be a good night. And then April will kind of be, a lot of Pullers Championship chatter. We got to get Jason Brammer on when Larry can be on with them. I got a couple garden chapter pullers I want to interview.
April 8th, I'll be in Baxley, Georgia, doing a tech school while you guys are on here. So I apologize.
I won't do. I'll check with you. You just check with Jason. Okay. Larry, check on Monday and April that you guys can both come on, and that'd be a lot of fun. Jason's been really active on social media, doing a good job. Made a big announcement today. I read through that. I'm excited to have him at the Pullers Championships May 17th and 18th. Again, that whole event, the premise of this when we sat down 3.5 years ago, put this together, was turn the puller into the promoter. The more the puller promotes this, the more they're going to get paid, because the more people come to the event, and the more live streams we sell, the bigger we can put the purse. And
and Jason's excited about coming back, and he's also excited about going to the Pullers Championship. I talked to him twice today. You got to get the bell housing done, and he's going to take the motor back down to Sonny's in Virginia. He's going to dyno it, going to change some things on the fuel system. Got to get it wrapped. You got to get corn fed back on the front weight bracket. But he's excited about coming back, and him and Jeremy both. And I'm excited for him because they're one of the few people that quit when it wasn't advantageous to stay pulling and still farm the way they wanted to. Most people don't do that, but he actually he did that. And to his credit, he survived it and got the truck back. So I think it's great. I think they'll have a lot of fun.
I want to say thank you to you, Larry. You've been helping a lot of the California guys, the 4-wheel drive truck guys. I've given out your phone number many times. I don't ask for permission. I just share your number, deal with it.
Well,
and You've been great.
I've helped the one guy redesign the whole back of his truck. We've built a hitch, we've built a second drawbar, and yeah, I've been working with him quite a bit. At least 2 or 3 of them.
John Bohr and Code Red. Those guys worked hard. Those guys worked hard on social media to get invited to the Pullers Championships. We're excited for that. So
when they get there, they're going to pass tech. Put it that way. They were so worried they wouldn't pass that, and I said no. I said we'll get you through it, and but yeah, they're going to be fine. They'll be ready to go.
Awesome. So Mike, it's always great having you on. Matt, it's great having Matt on as well. Larry, I'm excited for the Mac Trailer Winter Nationals. Again, fullpull.live is where you can buy the live stream for $9.99. And then also, get on, use your $1,000, play money up, have some fun. And then let's get ready for some real money wagering here later this spring, summer, whenever it's a rollout and it's a go. It's going to be really, really the best thing ever for pulling. And I'm going to stand on that. I'm going to die on that sword, if you will. So, Larry, Mike, Let's Grow Pulling next Monday night, 8:00 Central Standard Time. Catch us on iTunes and Spotify. It's great having you guys on. Have a good night, everybody.
Thanks for watching, guys.
I'm going to play a video about Full Pull Live. How about that, guys? Imagine that. Just got to find it. Weird. There we go. Boom.
Full Pull Live. One night only. 4 top classes. 40 invited pullers. Over 150,000 in total horsepower. One unprecedented low price. The Mac Winter Nationals, streaming exclusively on the new Full Pull Live.
Let's make some noise. Good running. John Deere, Animal Deep Iowa coming up. We got one right behind us.